How exciting is it to play the British Heart Foundation's weekly flutter? Ka-ching! Exciting enough to get your heart racing. Just a little bit. Like texting a mate. The same time they text you. Like flipping pancakes with majestic grace. Or spotting that last parking space. Yes! With the added joy of knowing the money you donate helps to fund life-saving research. £1 to play, £1,000 to win every week. Search British Heart Foundation Weekly Lottery. See? It's a little bit exciting.
Gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please see our website for more details. British Heart Foundation is a registered charity.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Luker's Land Rover. Looking to sell your Land Rover? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
The sun is still shining. Celtic Park was loud all afternoon. It's quieting down slightly as people start to reflect on a day that pretty much saw Celtic become champions, and we're better to reflect on that than here. How many titles has this show overseen? 01419511025. That is the number that you need, so give us a call right now. Of course, it's early in the day. We'll feed the calls throughout the afternoon. We do have 3 o'clock games, but we have to open the lines early on a day like this, so get in touch please.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Speak with a pharmacist about their private health and prescription service for men.
Okay, whilst you get your calls in, let's just set the scene. You'll have heard by now, even I know that, but if we're breaking the news to you, full time Celtic 2, Rangers 1, Celtic 6 points clear with 2 games to go and a 7-goal advantage in goal difference as well. There were a lot went into the game. Celtic raced into a 2-0 lead. Rangers pulled one back, then John Lundstram was sent off, and it got a bit nervy for Celtic in the second half for sure, but ultimately a victory in the end and 10 points from the head-to-heads between the sides this season. We now move on to the 3 o'clock games as well. Livy St Johnstone. St Johnstone trying to avoid that relegation playoff. Ross County also trying to avoid it. They host Motherwell. Hearts Dundee. St Mirren Kilmarnock. That is your offering in the Premiership this afternoon, so we'll keep you across what's happening in them. We'll take your calls right now if you want to get them in. So in terms of admin, Hugh Keevins, let's get it out the way nice and early, okay, and give the people as long as they can on this, because they just might need it.
The first half teaser
with thescottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
A lot of information in this question. You will need to pay attention, and we are celebrating tonight's Eurovision Song Contest, which Gordon DL is really looking forward to. Can you name the top scorers for each country in the top flight of Scottish football since the turn of the century from the following countries? Ireland, Denmark, Spain, France, Norway and Lithuania.
So you might need a pen and paper,
yes,
but don't worry, because you can see it written down. It's the question's all written down on our Twitter feed at Clyde SSB. But read it one.
We want you to name the top scorers for each country in the top flight of Scottish football since the turn of the century from the following countries: Ireland, Denmark, Spain, France, Norway and Lithuania.
At Clyde SSB, write it down or go and see it written down, read it back and see what you can come up with. You love the Eurovision, don't you?
No, I'm not even bothered with that.
You're getting the pick and mix out tonight, sitting watching it? No,
I don't like it.
You get the feet up.
It's not the same.
Sitting in your pants on a nice warm night like
I
this.
liked ABBA and Buck Fizz, all that sort of thing, but it's not the same now.
Right, okay, if you say so. Hugh Keevins is here, Eurovision correspondent Gordon DL and Mark Wilson in the studio. And don't worry, Marvin Bartley's going nowhere.
Yes,
he's
keep on
at
hanging
Celtic Park. What time will we let you away? 5, 6?
3:30, I'm clocking off, Gordon. That's what you agreed.
Listen, that's not bad.
You don't make the decisions, big guy.
That's what time my lift's going, though.
But that's the thing, you've got to put the pieces together. If your partner is heavily involved in the TV coverage, you probably share the lift, which means he ain't going anywhere till she's finished. I know that programme comes off air at 3:30, but the time the earpiece comes out, the debrief with the director and the producer, say goodbye to everybody, you're here till 4 o'clock minimum. So we'll leave it there for now. Leo is on the line. Leo's a Celtic fan. Does it just feel like any title winning day, Leo? How would you sum up your feelings?
Hi all. I thought it was a good game. Both teams played well at different points, I must say. Celtic switched off. Dessers got the goal, which was unfortunate. I thought the John Lundstram challenge was a straight red. I was basically at the corner flag in the main stand. Seen it, I thought instantly it was a red card. When it was a yellow card given, I was very surprised. I must say, for me, it was a very hard call for man of the match. I don't actually know who got it, if it can be clarified, but I'd give it to Matt O'Reilly. For myself, unfortunately missed the penalty. It was just another couple of points. I thought the referee display was very good. I can't fault that. I know both teams made faults and challenges, but when the game continues, it's much better than the stop-start. Also, when the Rangers manager, he's obviously got to big up the team and he's got to make them sound good. But when you put pen on paper, that's 4 games this season. We've won 3 and only drawn 1 at Ibrox. So I think there's a massive step up for Celtic for Rangers to catch us. It's going to be interesting. I mean, the league's not over yet. I mean, we could drop points at Kelly.
Come on, Leo. 6 points, 2 games to play, a 7-goal advantage. Must be over.
I don't like to think things. I don't like to. You never know. Stranger things have happened. But
no, they haven't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
Name one then. Name a stranger thing. Name
You're
one.
walking back into Celtic Park.
Name one.
That would be a strange thing. You getting allowed back into Celtic Park, he said.
This is popular mythology. I am not barred from Celtic Park. I walk in any time I like.
Someone asked me this recently and I was like, I don't think so. I mean, I know he has been on numerous occasions, but he's not anymore. I know it's exciting to think of that notion. Not tonight, pal. Leo points out, Hugh, the head-to-heads. We can always slice it various ways, and it doesn't really matter how much you pick up your points, but there's a good chance you're going to need to, and especially in our league, your 2-horse race, you're going to need to cut the throat of your rival. And Celtic have done that and then some. This is about as good a head-to-head record they've had in the season. 10 out of 12 points.
And also the Brendan Rodgers record against Rangers. 1 loss in 17 Old Firm derbies. Those who did not want him back have cause for reflection today. And it'd be nice if someone came on who originally did not want Brendan Rodgers back to congratulate him on having won the title. He has had an odd season. Terrible buys have been made by Celtic. The recruitment of players has been scandalous, but he has overcome it, and he deserves tremendous credit. And when you are a Celtic manager and you simply don't lose to Rangers, that makes you a very good Celtic manager. 1 defeat in 17 games makes Brendan Rodgers a very good title-winning Celtic manager.
I think especially, Mark, that record is great and you can't take anything away from him, but this one was meant to be closer. When Brendan Rodgers' first season, that Rangers team, now that we look back on it, they might have thought so at the time, was never going to compete. And that's not to say it was easy for Celtic, but they were never going to compete. This year, as Hugh says, there's been a bit more adversity. It's clearly a closer thing, a closer race. People many times were predicting a Celtic wobble or thinking that Rangers could overcome them, but over those head-to-heads tell a huge story this season.
Of course, and you look back over not just this season but previous years, Rangers have got a real problem when they come head-to-head with Celtic. In the last 10, Rangers have only won once in that period, and I'm talking over League Cup games, Scottish Cup games, and today one of the biggest ones, title deciders. But for Brendan Rodgers personally, and we're speaking about him, he has got a way of negotiating these games that get the best out of his team. And that's where people, say he's an elite manager. I was one who thought Brendan Rodgers is an elite manager because tactically in the big games he gets it right more often than not. By the way, it's no luck. No way is it luck that Brendan Rodgers wins more often than not against Rangers and different Rangers sides. He's switched on. He he makes subs at the right time, and he gets the job done. But Rangers have a huge problem in these head-to-head, and they need to find a solution. And they've got one more shot, and it's in the last day of the season, the cup final, and they need to get it right there.
Because Marvin, on the day, we've done this before, on the day you can say, oh well, Rangers rallied quite well, been down to 10 men, and they made it nervy, and they've sort of done that before, and they've made Celtic a bit worried at the closing stages of games. But when you zoom out at the end of a season, it becomes not about those little moments, it becomes about 10 points from 12.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that Rangers are going to have to try and turn around. But as Mark was saying there, Brendan deserves massive credit for this league title this season, because, at times this season it looked like Celtic has stalled. I think, a lot of pressure was put upon them by their fans, and listen, pretty much everybody else. It looked like Rangers were not only catching them, but they were going to go past them and then go away from them. So there would have been, within that dressing room, a couple of players who were probably thinking, can we really do this? But Brendan came out, he stood tall, he said publicly what they were going to do. Someone mentioned it earlier. He said, come back in May and see where we're at. And listen, he's been proven right. This is a massive one for him. I think this will be the one he's enjoyed the most out of, obviously his both tenures at Celtic, because it would have been easy for them to, finish in second place, to give up when Rangers had caught them and then gone by them. But they didn't do that. He stuck in, the players have dug in, and they deserve massive credit for it.
Just very quickly, let me tell you about one of these, two of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1. Sidibe can't miss, sclaffed through to him by May. Livy are all over the place. 4 chances for St Johnstone early on, and they've taken the lead. And this could be a seismic shift at the bottom, because it's also 1-0 to Motherwell against Ross County. It's a disaster for Ross Laidlaw, easy for me to say, in the goal, and Blair Spittle. He's heading off to Hearts in the summer, but he's put Motherwell 1-0 in front. Let's thank, in fact, before we go, Leo, you sticking by this? Are you being that safe you don't think this title can be declared over?
I mean, you could say it is over, but mathematically it's not. So,
we know.
But see, there was another couple of points I wanted to quickly make. I wanted to say, first and foremost, I was listening in the car last week home. Is Justin got that £1,000 on? Is that getting donated to Cash for Kids? I'm just curious to know.
That's a good point. There were a few reckless bets being thrown around. Whoever was wanting to put their money on Rangers, please do feel free to get in touch and gamble responsibly, as I always remind you to. Thanks to Leo from the south side. Let's get the Rangers verdict. William, is that it? Is it over, and how does it feel?
Hello, Gordon, Martin Hugh.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, William.
I was on last night, right, and I said whoever wins the game of the day wins the title, right? A bigger man, I don't like to do it, but I'll congratulate Celtic on winning the title, right? But my main point is, we've got this term, serial losers, mentally weak. Well, it was on its glory today. John Lundstram, my God, he threw his players, his team, his manager, our fans all under that bus. He should never ever wear a Rangers shirt again. He's the reason when we're not winning titles season after season, type of players like that. He should be nowhere near that cup final. See if he is, we're in big trouble, because that was terrible for him today. We're right in the match, and then he does that. No, it's not good enough.
How did you feel watching that unfold, William? How angry were you with him?
Very, 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 very angry. My daughter's 9-year-old, she was more angry than me. But what can you say about that, right? Celtic go 1-0 up, right? 1-0 up. And I said to my daughter, watch this. Some Rangers player will do something daft, and then he kicks the ball in the net. We're back in the game, and then he does that. Nah, it's not good enough. At least come on, right? I've seen what players he can keep and get rid of. See that man Sterling? He was magnificent for Rangers Day in adversity. We should build a team around him.
Well, the damage might have been done, William, and Celtic might have won today anyway, but is it particularly hard to take that from John Lundstram on a day that it sort of wraps up the title for your rivals?
Well, over the season, right, over the previous seasons, Rangers have had players that's mentally weak, they're not good enough, that they can't handle the pressure. Well, it was shown today, John Lundstram. You know what I mean? Unbelievable. He's had a decent season this season in parts, but see that today? No, that's not good enough. How quick can you fly somebody to Turkey? I'll fly him there myself, I'll be the pilot.
I wouldn't recommend it unless you have the necessary qualifications. Marvin, you witnessed it in the stadium. It's not really my style to be like this negative, but in terms of the boxes you can tick for bad performance, right? You can go like overall play, which I think John Lundstram was probably doing anyway, and you look at the way he didn't track for the first goal, and then you can either score an own goal, miss a penalty, get sent off. He does 2 out of those 3 all within a half.
Yeah, listen, the tackle was a moment of madness, definitely, and something that shouldn't have happened. As William's saying there, they were back in the game. You know, they were doing okay at that point. And he makes a reckless tackle. From where we were at first, it looked like he may have taken the ball, but watching it back, it's a red card 100%. And he'll be gutted. He'll be gutted within that dressing room, or if they're back on the coach now. As you said, the own goal, listen, it can happen to anyone. It looks so awkward, it looked like he couldn't sort his feet out, and the ball ends up in the back of the net. One thing I will say about John Lundstram, sitting here today and watching this game, there was one player out there that was trying to orchestrate absolutely everything Rangers were doing in terms of the press. The first 10 minutes, the press was miles off it, and certain players weren't pulling their weight out there, and he was trying to get them going, he's trying to move them about, and maybe that's just what happened. You know, he got too caught up in the game and went away from playing his own game. But, you know, I think Clement will look back at the game. Obviously, he's been on the side of the pitch. Was John Lundstram's Rangers' biggest problem today? No, he wasn't. And that's like I said, I know he's made 2 massive mistakes, the own goal and a red card. But there was other players out there that I would put ahead of him, you know, in terms of being, you know, the biggest problems today.
But surely in terms of costly moments, he must be, though. He must be.
Yeah, definitely, Gordon. Costly moments, but, you know, I said earlier, the press was so far off it, players weren't doing their bit. So, you know, you defend from the front. And when you don't do that against a team like Celtic, you're going to find yourself in massive trouble. People like to look at where it ends up, the end result. Ball ends up in the back of the net. What was the last, you know, action within that? Look at it from the start. You know, players weren't doing it. It's all like they hadn't watched Celtic before, like they hadn't played against Celtic before. You know, not pressing at the right angles. These are players playing at the top of the game. You know, they should know better. You know, work rate, effort. That's a bare minimum for any game, but especially when you're coming into such a big game against your arch rivals. You know, the league title's really on the line. To not run around, to not work 100%. As I said, you know, there were a couple of players that weren't doing that today. And for me, again, John Lundstram made a massive mistake out there. You know, the own goal, listen, it happens. The red card was stupidity. But there were other players that, as I said, were put before him there.
Just before we bring William back in, I've got another one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Good game in Dingwall. Ross County 1, Motherwell 1. Remember, Blair Spittle had put Motherwell in front, but Simon Murray 20 for the season. One of the success stories, certainly from the bottom 6. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They have Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that is right for you. Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell and Darnley, and Jaguar, Volvo and Land Rover showrooms found in Hillington. Right now at lookers.co.uk, you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today, or even pop into the showroom local to you. Now, back to the podcast.
How exciting is it to play the British Heart Foundation's weekly flutter? Ka-ching! Exciting enough to get your heart racing. Just a little bit. Like texting a mate. The same time they text you. Like flipping pancakes with majestic grace. Or spotting that last parking space. Yes! With the added joy of knowing the money you donate helps to fund life-saving research. £1 to play, £1,000 to win every week. Search British Heart Foundation Weekly Lottery. See? It's a little bit exciting.
Gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please see our website for more details. British Heart Foundation is a registered charity.
At 3 Business, we think you should get more for less. With our boundless business offer, the whole team gets unlimited calls, data, and texts. And the more SIMs you buy, the more you'll save. All on the UK's fastest 5G network. That's what we call big value. Search 3 Business or visit us in store.
Unlimited in the UK, based on Ookla speed test intelligence data H1 2023. C3.co.uk.
Played through in the break, finished under Kelly, and it is a poor one for Motherwell to lose, but ruthless from Ross County. Motherwell had started brightly. 16 goals in the games between the teams this season. Value for your money.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, Liam Kelly getting linked with Celtic this week. You wonder if they'll decide to go against that?
Why? Because he's conceded a goal.
Yeah, apparently it's a poor one from him. Did you not say?
I didn't say
Sorry,
that.
I thought you were hanging him out.
Okay.
But my apologies. Well done, Liam.
But never mind Simon Murray. What a contribution! If they stay up,
brilliant.
He's been the man.
William, how does it feel ultimately? We focused in today on John Lundstram, but ultimately another title that you've had to watch go elsewhere. How does that feel today?
Well, it doesn't feel very good, Gordon, obviously, right? But as I said to you, Clement's identified his weaknesses and his positives in that squad, right? And as you said in your previous calls there, that he's going to improve the squad in the summer. Well, the thing is, he stated his press conference, right? Only yesterday, right? Don't make any rash challenges. He's told his players, don't make any rash challenges, don't make any mistakes. And it's like John Lundstram just went like that, 2 fingers up to him, I'm not caring, I'm going to Turkey. Well, cheerio, son, you know what I mean? It is disappointing we've lost the title, but I've got confidence. I've always said we've got a very good manager. I'm not going to judge him this season because it was mostly Bale's team, right? But he's going to get his own players and we'll hopefully go for there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think big picture, Hugh, that's understandable to a point. So we'll see what happens.
But there's one factor that we have yet to touch upon, and that is that with the Championship today comes the Champions League. With the Champions League comes a fortune, on top of the fortune Celtic already have in the bank. So whatever happens in the summer, and I agree that both clubs will undergo root and branch investigation, but whatever happens, Celtic have a fortune and Rangers don't.
Need to spend it wisely, of course. I suppose, Marvin, that would be the thing about Philippe Clement is he's clearly at times improved Rangers, there's no doubt about it, and it looked a lot more competitive than it was. He's been very quick to point out the fact in recent weeks that he was 7 points behind when he took over. I don't personally really care much for that measurement, but if he wants to measure it constantly in that fashion, well, it's now back up to 6 points, so he can still have done a good job, but probably, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the Cup, but I'm not sure anyone would go overboard yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will either. You know, he has stated on numerous occasions that, you know, there were 7 points behind, and like you say, now it's 6. But I'd be thinking, you know, he'd be thinking about the mentality of his players. You know, the fact that we did close that gap. So it shows that the ability's there. But to win titles, to win things, you have to have a strong mentality as well. And that's what we've seen from the Celtic squad in the run-in, and we haven't seen from the Rangers one. It's not a lack of ability because they did close that gap, so it shows that that's there. But to go every day in training, to go in every single match, to really go and hammer things home, some of the Rangers players clearly were unable to do that this season, and that's what he'll be looking at. You know, which ones are strong mentally, which one of these are real winners. And I think Rangers fans have said it an awful lot. You know, they've not won enough over recent times, and Clement's no fool. You know, he'll suffer no fools, he'll make changes, and you know, we'll have to do that in the summer to definitely, you know, close this gap and basically overturn Celtic if they get to win the Championship next season.
Yeah, going to be fascinating. Thank you to William. You could hear the passion and the disappointment in William. He's, tell you what, I don't think John Lundstram's getting a Christmas card from William.
No,
that a fair assessment?
Yeah,
plane ticket.
I think William,
here we come.
William speaks for the Rangers fans who believe that Lundstram has his mind on his next club and not enough of his mind is on his present club. And there are others in the team that will come in for that line of criticism as well. The Rangers fans have lost patience with this team. Everyone, from Tavernier down, they've lost patience with the fact that they are serial underachievers.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to be interesting about the post-mortem, because for weeks, Gordon, and months, we've had, when things haven't gone well for Rangers, we've had calls criticising whoever, James Tavernier and Connor Goldson and John Lundstram and various players, and we always had to caveat it by saying, okay, but just wait, because this team might win a title, and now we know they're not going to. So that's when all of that stuff will come back and go under full focus.
Yeah, I've got to say, if I was the Rangers manager, I'd be a bit disappointed in most of my players today. I know that Lundstram comes in for the spotlight because of the own goal, and I think he should do a lot better than that, I've got to be honest. And then the reckless tackle, he should never have went into that tackle, lets his teammates, lets everybody down. But if I look at Rangers overall today, take Sterling out of the equation. I think Butland had a couple of good saves early on, but the rest of them were way below par. They didn't have the character to stand up there in the most important game. You're right up against it because you're 60,000 Celtic fans in there. You're at Celtic Park. Your record's not good. You need big characters. You need people to stand up, be counted. Rangers don't have enough of them. The biggest character's probably their manager on the sidelines. He needs to get rid of a lot of players in there and bring in his own players.
We're going to speak to Martin, who's a Celtic fan, in just a second, but it's a strange schedule for us. The calls are coming in, the lines are open, but we've got games that we need to remind you of as well. So the last goal that went in was that Ross County 1, Motherwell 1, Simon Murray with the equaliser. St Johnstone are battering Livingston, and they're 1-0 up at, is it the stadium formerly known as the Tony Blackburn? I can't remember if I've dropped it. Hearts on top now. Some good saves from McCracken, but still goalless. Hearts Dundee. Same story, St Mirren Kilmarnock, albeit a bit quieter. So get your calls in on that game at Celtic Park, and we'll work our way through it. Remind us of your teaser. Without sounding patronising, listen carefully. There's quite a lot going on.
Can you name the top scorers for each country in the top flight of Scottish football since the turn of the century? From the following countries: Ireland, Denmark, Spain, France, Norway and Lithuania.
There's quite a lot. I have to top.
If I get any, Hugh, I've gave Hugh a list of
top research from Hugh Keevins putting the question together. I'm looking at some of the answers here. I would say there's a couple of good attempts there. I can see Token Jester seems to have given it a good go. Right, let's do some wrong. Michael Donati has gone for Ivanauskas for Lithuania.
No,
he was the manager, was he not?
Oh, got one.
Yeah. I think I
he's
went,
the top scorer.
I went for the player that I thought
he was the manager.
Sounds very similar to him.
There are loads of spaces on this podium. That suggests maybe watch this reverse psychology, Hugh. Maybe the question's too difficult for you. I don't know, but we can see what we get between now and the end of the show. Ivanauskas is not one. And is Matt O'Reilly the one from Denmark? No, he's not.
Off the list.
Nah, there's a more obvious Danish one. Come on.
Oh, I've
Danish,
got that. I've got that, the old Danish.
Yeah, there he is.
Pastry.
If you're a fan of
Who is it?
If you're a fan of viral tweets, all I'll say to you is think about his dog.
Oof. His dog?
If anyone, see, you don't get the reference because you're not a social media trawler.
Yes. Let's see. Now get his dog.
I'll need to explain the dog joke later, but loads of people out there will get it.
I don't know.
Have you never heard this?
No.
Oh, it's just one of the greatest. One of the greatest tweets of all time, yeah.
Oh, I need to get a hold of this.
Does anyone understand the reference? Have you seen it before?
Yeah.
Good, okay. We'll get back to him.
The dog.
But, excuse me? What was that?
Who let the dog out?
Dogs.
Let the dogs out.
I once went to Florida as a 10-year-old and they closed one of the shops to let the Baha men have a look around.
Not played enough, on the station. I think we should get them back
don't hear
in the
much
mix.
of them, has to be said.
Yeah, I could be the 4:30 big one for Gary and Stephen. Who let the dogs
The
out?
Baha men.
I don't know the Baha men.
You just
They
sang
sung
the
their
song.
Oh, is that their song? Is it okay?
And the name. What are we
Well, I
dealing with
didn't
here?
know. I know the song, but I don't know the artist.
When did you ever sing that song?
Speaking of which, right, I have got an absolute treat for you, and he doesn't even know it yet. So, the sun is out, as everyone can agree. It is a beautiful day. You'd much rather be outside than stuck in this radio studio. Imagine my horror, okay? I drive into the Clyde 1 car park today. There's a kind of one-way system because some dafties double parked and I couldn't get in a space. So I come round the front, and there, sitting on one of those office chairs with the wheels, is Gordon DL, right? He's got, I'm going to paint the picture since it's radio, black Under Armour tracksuit bottoms rolled up to the knee, big thick black sports socks rolled down to the ankle. He's got his grey t-shirt on rolled up like a tank top, and he's lying back, sort of leaning back on this office chair. As if that's not bad enough, he's got his phone in his hand. He's playing music out of his phone without headphones, and with his eyes shut is like bobbing away to the music. So I did what anyone would do, videoed it, and it's on my Instagram story if you want to go and watch it. It is a work of art. Have you not seen it yet?
No.
What were you listening to? It sounded a bit like Wagon Wheel to me. I know that's a favourite of yours, but I couldn't quite.
When I arrived, he was listening to Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons at that time. And you know what we should do? Save our money in the security guard here. See if you put him out there. Any intruders would turn and go the other way.
It's really disturbing. He's like, his eyes shut. He's like rocking back and forward. You look like. I actually probably can't see it because it sounds a bit.
He looked like a vagrant.
I was listening to Boot Scootin' Boogie.
What on earth is that?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's country and western. Boot Scootin' Boogie.
Who's the artist of Boot Scooting Boogie?
I can't remember.
It must say
Beyonce.
No,
is it Beyonce's new song?
No.
It's he's famous country and western singer. Brilliant, great song.
Boot Scooting Boogie by Brooks and Dunn.
That's the one.
That looks
Get that one.
Absolutely horrific.
See the summer. Get that one.
Released in 1991.
That was a good year for songs.
And they're listening to that.
Hold on,
dancing.
Recorded by the band Asleep at the Wheel. It could be them.
No, it was Brooks Dunn Boy.
Wow,
brilliant, good record.
I'm watching the music video without volume, and it just looks awful.
Mate,
it really does.
It's one of the best.
Having the time of his life out there when we arrived.
Yeah, honestly, if you've not seen it, and I know not everyone does Instagram, I didn't want to out him to out him to everyone on Twitter. Just Instagram instead. So go on my story and you'll see it. It is outrageous, quite frankly. Anyway, Martin, let's get away from Gordon Dalziel with his sleeves rolled up. What about the title win today? As a Celtic fan, how does it feel? Is it over?
Yeah, it felt fantastic at the end. It was a very nervy last 10 minutes, but I was one of the biggest doubters when the manager came back at the start of the season, and he's proved all us.
He's disappeared as well, Martin. He hung on the line for ages. We'll get him back.
But we got the gist of it there, and I said earlier it would be good if someone who disliked the appointment of Brendan Rodgers came on and admitted that they had now undergone a change of heart and mind, and that's what Martin has been man enough to do. This is Brendan Rodgers' day. Any man who had to come back, in his first press conference was more like an interrogation than a press conference, where he'd been invited to apologise for going to the English Premier League, which he rightly did not do. And then all of the things that have happened with Brendan Rodgers, the rows with the Green Brigade, the Green Brigade forcing Leela Bada out of the club, the terrible recruitment that led to resignations in the recruitment department. Brendan Rodgers has overcome all of that, and fan hostility, let it be remembered, inside the ground. And we all know the joke, even Santa Claus got booed, but that is factually correct. He overcame all of that, and today is his day.
We lost you a bit, Martin, but ultimately you doubted Brendan Rodgers, but he's won you back over.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I wasn't a big fan when he came back, but he's proved us wrong, especially after the winter break, and he's been just calm in the last 2 months, and he's brought us through it. And also Callum McGregor today as well. He wasn't losing that football match today when he was out in that pitch.
Yeah, Marvin, a couple of weeks ago Callum McGregor was getting a lot of doubts because he was injured and not looking at his best, but he contributed today, didn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant. He absolutely brilliant, as Martin said there. He was all over the pitch, and I think it showed at the end. I think it was McCausland that maybe had broken away. Someone broke away, and Callum McGregor's back there blocking things. And listen, he did look tired towards the end, but you expect that in such a big game, and for a man who's missed so much football. But any Celtic team with him in is a better team. There's no doubt about it. He never lets them down. He's always out there giving 100%, whether he's fully fit or not. Probably came back a little bit too early from his injury, but he just wanted to help the squad out and the players out. So yeah, listen, a massive player for them. I thought him and O'Reilly were really, really good in the centre of the park today for Celtic.
Yeah, I think it was Scott Wright, wasn't it, that broke forward, but Marvin's bang on. It was Callum McGregor that was tracking back and made some difference. Martin's been won over, won back over by Brendan Rodgers. Marvin, that has been a theme that ran throughout this season. I would imagine there was quite a lot of love for him in the stadium today.
Oh, there'll definitely be love from 100% at the stadium today. But as Martin said, when he first came back in, it was 50% or maybe even more who probably didn't want him back and who were doubting him and who were waiting for him to make his first mistake, really, so they could really, hammer it home on top of him. And listen, as I said, at points this season, Celtic haven't been great, and they, they did get caught by Rangers, etc. And then those fans came back out again. But as Hugh said, it'd be fantastic to hear, a lot of them call up today and say, listen, we got it wrong, because he's delivered them yet another title. And as I said, probably the most difficult title he's had to deliver since being at the club, with things against the squad, things against him, coming into the club again and being doubted. But listen, absolutely fantastic from Brendan Rodgers and the sign of a top manager. And
I'll tell you what, by what I'm hearing, there's some strong words from Brendan Rodgers in his press conference, so you won't want to go anywhere, because you'll hear it here very soon. With that insight, will we reluctantly let him go?
Yeah,
4 o'clock. No, I mean, it's a nice
about
day.
To get left.
If I was to add up all the minutes that you've been late for your work when you come in here, add them back on, like time added on at the end of a game, we could keep you here till midnight. But I'm not that type of guy. I will be the bigger man. Thank you for your time, and speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Bye, Marv.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
And there he is, off into the sun.
You picked a good one to witness live at Celtic Park, because, a good 45 minutes. It was entertaining for 45.
Very interesting to hear what you just said there, Gordon, about Brendan Rodgers getting a few things off his chest today. He has been pilloried, has been vilified, and today he's going to answer those who went in for that vilification. And I think he will regard this as his most important title. Number 1 title, invincible. This title, durable. Overcame everything. Had the durability that Rangers don't have, and that their supporters are upset they don't have. Brendan Rodgers, durability.
Yeah, you take a lot of satisfaction from this one, Martin.
Yeah, it was a great satisfaction, because, to be honest, Rangers, they look like they've got 11 journeymen pro out there, so we're just 6 points ahead at this time of year. So Brendan Rodgers needs a bit of a war chest in summer, I would think, definitely. And what Hugh Keevan says in the programme 30 minutes ago, he says his record against Rangers is fantastic. Now, you just can't doubt that. It's just not luck, as you guys were saying.
Mm-hmm. They have a war chest that, by Scottish standards, is monumental. Celtic have in the realms of £70 million in the bank anyway, and they will almost double that because of the Champions League. So now is the time for Peter Lawwell to get real. The chairman actually went on Celtic TV and apologised for the lack of activity in the January transfer window. Time for proper recruitment.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's the chairman of the board. In theory, the decisions, he oversees the board, the executive board, and decisions need to also be made elsewhere. But I take the point, Mark, because I think it's valid to say, but Celtic have always had a lot of money, and they don't always spend it wisely, and look how they spent it this season. But if you're Rangers, you cannot just keep hoping that it's misspent. Celtic can't, in one sense, you could say they can't get the recruitment wrong, or as wrong as they did this year with the money that was spent. They're going to have so much more of it, and that could be an ominous sign.
Well, I certainly could, because it opens up the scope to shop around the world and bring that higher standard of player in. But when you've got an elite manager like Brendan Rodgers, that's the problem. Rangers need to get it right in the park. You can go about it well. You can win this league with a lesser budget than Celtic, there's no doubt about it. But you need to get the big games right, and Rangers just fall foul of it. Now, I do believe that they do need major surgery. I know we keep saying this, but major surgery. The guys that have been there throughout this period of Celtic dominance, I think you need to move on for them. And Clement seems to be a manager that wouldn't hesitate in doing that, and bringing in a whole new look, a whole new feel about the club. Less reliance on James Tavernier scoring 20 odd goals a season, less reliant on John Lundstram at 30 trying to hold together a midfield, less reliance on Connor Goldson. The same guys over and over again. They need to get rid of them.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hearts 1, Dundee 0. It's a lovely ball by Barry Mackay, and there's Kenneth Vargas at the back post to provide the finish. and the Jambos lead. It's Woking Tynecastle up. It was a bit sleepy in the May sunshine, but Hearts are in the lead, and Roger Hannah is about to bring that half to a close. Maybe about 5. No, in fact, maybe not as close as I thought. I'm looking at the clock wrong. 10 minutes to go in that first half. So Kenneth Vargas with the goal there. That one going probably as you would expect it to. Dundee having a good season, but you would fancy Hearts to win that home game. And the beach balls were raining down at the start of the game. Play had to be delayed to get Craig Gordon to clear them off the pitch, because party time at Hearts.
Yeah, he's had a good Hearts have had a good season, but Vargas has had a good season individually, scoring some good goals. Obviously not in the same league as Shanklin, but he's certainly chipped in with a few this season for Hearts, and it's always got to be a difficult game, but I always expected Hearts there. Third best team in the country at home, party time for them, so I expect them.
And I don't know if you saw this during the week. Bear with me, because I'm going to hand over to an excellent source on Twitter. He's been on the show before. The Twitter account Scotland's Coefficient keeps you up to speed with all that stuff. Because of what's been happening elsewhere in the European competitions, Hearts can very realistically, don't know if you knew this, go straight into the Europa League. Now, what they need to happen is, because they basically want Dortmund and Atalanta to win the Champions League and Europa League respectively, but not finish in the Champions League places in their domestic league. Does that make sense? And that's possible. That's kind of on. I suppose you could say it's Real Madrid we're dealing with here, and they might well win the final, because that's what they do. But if both Dortmund and Atalanta are European trophy winners and finish in a Europa League spot domestically, both of those countries have one less Europa League spot. Knock-on effects. I'll cut out the boring detail, and Hearts could go straight into the Europa League.
I tell you what, if you're a gambler, put money on that, and you'll have more money at the end of that than Hearts would get for getting in the Europa League.
I think so.
But, Leverkusen will win the Europa League. Real Madrid will win the Champions League.
Sorry, Hearts fans.
Oh, well, you've ruined it for us all. There's no point watching nature cup finals.
Qualifiers.
You know what I mean?
You've been hanging about with Hugh Keevins too.
Come on.
One-off game.
What about Leverkusen all season?
17 goals in added time this season.
Added time.
Who has?
Two
By
Leverkusen.
Have they?
Yep.
Incredible.
Just shows you they play at the whistle.
Thanks for that insight. That's brilliant.
See, I think that's what Javi Alonso's telling me.
Play the final
Play the
whistle,
boys.
Anyway, right, let's go back to the Rangers' perspective. Sammy is in East Kilbride. Sammy, how would you sum up how you feel about your team today?
Well, I don't know if you were there that day, son, but I phoned up a couple of weeks ago after we played Ross County and after we played Dundee, and I used the words disgusting and serial losers. And I think after that performance today, I've been completely vindicated in my opinion, because yet again, the big players at Rangers have let us down. They were absolutely garbage. And that's not a great Celtic team we were playing against today. They're fine, they're decent, they're good. And we've got a lot of injuries. But the big players, the ones I mentioned before, Tavernier, fine, Goldson's injured. But Tavernier, Lundstram sold the jersey today. He had no interest. He's going away to Turkey or wherever he wants to go. They had no interest in that game today, and they were absolutely pummeled. And he's laughed at me the last time I was on here when I said that Rangers only play when the pressure is off. And when we were 2-0 down to 10 men, they get a penalty. Fine, they missed the penalty. Should never have been a penalty. Should never have been a red card. But never mind.
Ooh, let's stop you there. You don't think that's a red card from John Lundstram?
When we're sitting there at 10 men and 2-0 down, suddenly Rangers decide to appear and start playing football.
Can we revisit it, Sammy, if you don't mind? Can I let you go on for sure? You don't think that was a red card by John Lundstram?
No, it's a contact sport.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, but where do you draw the line then? So what, any contact's allowed?
Well, it's a contact sport and it's called football. It's not called shoulder ball. You can't just shoulder into people and that's okay.
Well, Sammy, let's be at, because everybody's got their opinion, but what are you on about shoulder? John Lundstram flies in and his studs catch Alistair Johnston's ankle, so how can that not be a red card?
My point is, the game is called football. The ball is meant to be on the deck and people will challenge for the ball with their feet.
Correct, so the key is try and kick the ball with your feet, not stud other people in the ankle, surely.
Didn't mean that. You could see
intent isn't important. I say it all the time. You look up the rules, intent is not mentioned.
Well, it should be.
Again, that's fine. I think I should be able to drive at 90 on the motorway, but I can't.
I think on Old Firm Day, supporters, in the depth of their disappointment, become irrational. And I think Sammy is irrational in his interpretation of what happened. It was as clear as day that the challenge was disproportionately forceful, was dangerous to Alistair Johnson, who late in the match had to go off feeling the after effects of the challenge.
I mean, we don't know that for sure, but fair enough. I think it's a calculated guess.
But whatever, the bottom line, it is 100%, 7 days a week, a red card offence.
Right, we can agree to disagree on that one, Sammy. I'm interested in your more general point. I know I sidetracked you a bit. So what, you really feel like there needs a big clear out? You're not happy at all with the Rangers players at the moment?
I phoned in a few weeks ago and I was ridiculed online for calling the team that Philippe Clement has Michael Beale's rejects. I called them serial losers, and I was mocked to my face and behind my back. And I think today I've been completely vindicated in that opinion. Absolutely, well and truly. Would you not agree that time and time again the so-called big players that we have at our club, say our club, my club, Rangers, would you not agree that time and time again, when the pressure is on them, they have, and that was another term I used, bottle merchants? Would you not agree that today was another prime example of serial losers and bottle merchants?
I listened to Marvin Bartley before the game started, and I know Gordon Dalziel's a great one for studying the players in the warm-up, and Marvin was studying the Rangers players as opposed to the Celtic players, and he said the Celtic players are zipping the ball about, but the Rangers players, no, they weren't doing that, and the coaches were having to G them up almost as if before the game started they were lacking in confidence. I don't think that was entirely true in the first half, but it is a pivotal moment when Lundstram reduces them to 10 men because of a ridiculous challenge on Alistair Johnson. And I think I go back to the word durability. Brendan Rodgers and his players have shown durability. They haven't always been good. They, for a long time, weren't good at all, but they have been durable and they have got across the line. And I think what Sammy is trying to say is that far too often, Dingwall and Dundee back to back being the perfect case in point, far too often there is no durability. That was the first time ever that Ross County had beaten Rangers. I mean, no wonder Sammy was disgusted by it, but the title has been won by the team who had durability.
I don't think there's any merit in desperately standing up for James Tavernier or John Lundstram or whoever today. That just denies how the Rangers fans feel. The notion about, though, is it all about bottle or really boring explanation coming up, season in, season out, they are not as good as Celtic. That might be the more obvious explanation, but each to their own. The
results show that, Gordon. You can't argue with that. You can turn up in one-off games and maybe get a result, but you can question character, you can question commitment, bottle merchants, whatever way you want to look at it. But I think you're right. I think when you look at the two squads and the two starting 11s today, Celtic are definitely the better footballing side. You've seen with Rangers' tactics. Rangers went very long early doors, tried to pick up second balls, whereas Celtic were more of a football team, try to play through the zones into McGregor midfield to the front men and try and work it that way. I just think it comes down to one thing, and I think the results have shown it this season. Celtic have got better players.
Thank you to Sammy. Hopefully we'll speak again soon. We're way late on these, but just to update you on what you missed.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Kelly took the lead at St Mirren. It was quite a while ago. Kyle Vassell, well done to him, and Motherwell back in front. Paul McGinn, he's had to wait a long old time for his first Motherwell goal, and he gets it. So Ross County 1, Motherwell 2. There was a bit of drama for Dundee. They got given a penalty. It looked harsh. Nick Walsh is the ref. He then went to the monitor and no penalty. was given. There was a brief check on that Motherwell goal for an alleged push, but it stands, and we're heading towards the half-time intervals. What I'll do is I'll give you a bit of extra time on the teaser because it's very difficult, and I'll do those answers at the half-time break. So if you remind us of the question once more, please.
Okay. Once I find it, to celebrate tonight's Eurovision Song Contest, we are asking you to name the top scorers for each country in the top flight of Scottish football since the turn of the century from the following countries: Ireland, Denmark, Spain, France, Norway and Lithuania.
Mick thinks it might be Mikalunas from Lithuania. It's not him. I can see most of you are kind of getting close, that's for sure. So it's not Mikalunas. Kevin wants to throw in John Daly for Ireland. Okay, that should hopefully help you along, because the other ones may be a bit more predictable. Mark Wilson played with one of them.
Yeah.
You got it?
No, Daz got it. Yeah.
What, did I get that one? Yeah, I got that one.
Right, but the podium's still got spaces on it, I think. So at Clyde SSB, quick as you can. The playoffs are heating up today. East Kilbride, remember, this is the game to get into the SPFL. Right on the stroke of half time, East Kilbride 1, Stranraer 1. Stranraer equalised in the 45 plus 2 on the clock. So all level there. Stirling Albion 0, Dumbarton 0. That's for Stirling Albion to try and stay in League One. It was Dumbarton with the advantage from the first leg, but all goalless there at the moment. Half time at Livingston, Gabriel.
Yes, Gordon, it's Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1 at the interval. Adama Sidibe's 8th minute goal is the difference. St Johnstone are the team with something to play for here, and you can see that right from the off. Nicky Clark blazed over within the first minute after a cutback from Graham Carey. Stevie May had a header tipped over by Shamal George, and then George made a big save from Sidibe before the 8th minute goal. The fourth chance, and he really couldn't miss. It was a sklaff strike from May inside the box, and he just turned it in. Livingston defensively all at sea, looked completely distant. It's just so easy for the Saints. And there were boos here within the first 10 minutes. Says it all really about this side, who look like a championship team already. And the onslaught continued after that. Chances for Cameron McPherson, Dre Wright, and a couple more for the lightly and quick Sidibe. It honestly could have been 4-0 after 15 minutes, Gordon. But the spurned opportunities allowed Livy to grow into the game a bit. Started to push forward and had a few opportunities. Dimitar Mitov in the Saints goal, making some decent saves from Christian Montano, Joel Nuble, Teti Yengi and Sean Kelly just before the whistle there. The game's not over, but David Martindale's side have to be much better if they want to get back into it. Whilst the Saints will feel they should be at least 2 up, they know they need a second to put this game out of sight and give themselves the best chance of climbing out of the relegation playoff spot. Half time at the break, it's Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1.
Well, it looks like Livy just going through the motions, which, by the way, is a phrase you're going to hear from Brendan Rodgers in an interesting way in the not too distant future. He's been in strong form in that press room, and I'll let you hear his answers very soon. But that's the only half-time whistle so far. 5 added at Tynecastle. We're maybe about 3 into that. 3 added in Dingwall and 3 minutes added in Paisley as well. So we're not quite done yet. Livy just want that season over. It's a big result as it stands, a big scoreline for St Johnstone. Well,
I said to you before the game started, are they on their holidays already, the Livy players? And by the sound of it, they are. And Ross County being a goal down and St Johnstone being a goal up, as things stand, it's a good day for old man Levine.
Yeah, without doubt, a big one. I still fancy Ross County though, with the players again. Simon Murray, top end of the pitch. They still get something out of that, and can Craig Levine's men hold on?
What about Dingwall in the sunshine then, David Friel?
Yeah, half time, Gordon, Ross County 1, Motherwell 2. Motherwell ahead thanks to the prolific Paul McGinniman. This is his 78th game for the club, and he's finally off the mark with his first goal for Motherwell. There are always goals in games between these two teams. I think it's 17 for the season now. This has been really open, really entertaining. I think there'll be more goals to come in the second half. Motherwell definitely started better. Ross Laidlaw had to deal with a cross-come shot from Georgie Gent in the first attack. Andy Halliday then getting in a great position at the edge of the box, left foot, did everything right. A really powerful drive but Laidlaw made an unbelievable save to tip the ball over the bar. That was the best of the Ross County keeper. He then produced a major howler as Motherwell took the lead in 8 minutes. Liam Kelly's long goal kick just went straight through to Laidlaw. It looks as if he was just going to gather it easily, just pick the ball up. He somehow managed to spill it under very, very little pressure. Blair Spittle was alert to the chance and he was able to steer the ball into the empty net. County were wobbling, but Simon Murray, that man again, once again stepped up for his team with his 20th of the season in 14 minutes. It was a brilliant counter-attack from County. Eli King, lovely threaded pass through to Simon Murray and he buried his finish past Liam Kelly. County can't lead a bigger threat for a spell. Conor Randall came so close, he burst free in the left, dinked his shot over Liam Kelly, but Shane Blaney covered back to clear off the line. Motherwell came on strong again in the closing stages of the half, and McGinn pounced from a set piece in 40 minutes. Georgie Gent's deep free kick wasn't claimed by Laidlaw, they claimed a foul. It bounced off Ryan Leake and McGinn was there to finish for his first Motherwell goal. Half time, Ross County 1, Motherwell 2.
About Paisley then, Fraser Wishart's there.
Yeah, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1. Have to say it's no end of season game here, both teams going right at it. Good to watch, although there's been few clear chances either end. St Mirren probably the better of the first 45. It's Kelly that going ahead through an excellent Kyle Vassell goal. Really frantic start to the game. St Mirren have the better the first 10 minutes. Kelly having to defend a number of
I think we've lost Fraser Wishart, have we? We'll maybe give him another go, try and get that squared up in the not too distant future. We're going to hear from Roger Hannah as well. Don't want to stop Fraser in his tracks, but Kilmarnock, just such a good season, Hugh. It's like nothing surprising, you know. More to do today, of course, but 1-0 up. Yeah,
I mean, Derek McInnes, excellent job he's done there. I look forward to that game on Wednesday night, Kilmarnock versus Celtic at Rugby Park. Derek will try and has been successful in the recent past in defeating Celtic, knocked them out the Viaplay Cup, beat them in the league, but as I say, Celtic's durability allowed them to get over those bumps in the road, and he won't want Celtic to win the title on his patch. No manager does. So it'll be quite the evening on Wednesday when Celtic can become officially, without all doubt, the champions.
Let's try again, Fraser Wishart. Nah, not happening, is it? I'll tell you what, we can take a breather and we'll hear from Fraser Wishart and Roger Hannah after these.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time in the 3 o'clock games, of course, we're reflecting on a big win, a title-winning win, really, in the eyes of most people, for Celtic against Rangers. It's half-time between Hearts and Dundee. Here is Roger Hannah.
Had a break at Tynecastle. Hearts 1, Dundee 0 in the sunshine, and it was so hot that the Hearts fans were celebrating the Euro-bound Jambos, raining down beach balls onto the pitch to the extent the referee Nick Walsh had to stop play, and as Hearts goalkeeper Craig Gordon to help him remove the missiles and really get the game underway. It took a little bit of time to get going. Alan Forrest having a shot held by John McCracken from the edge of the box after 19 minutes, and that just did seem to spark Hearts into a bit of life. A really good save by McCracken moments later after Kenneth Vargas's header from a cross by top scorer Lawrence Shankland. There was then another interruption for a drinks break in the Gorgie sunshine, and Dundee went close to breaking the deadline in 34 minutes, a deadlock I should say. Ryan Astley in his first start for the Dark Blues, stretching up to meet an Owen Dodgson corner, but he was just off target, and he paid the price for that miss a minute later when Hearts took the lead. Barry Mackay making progress on the left corner of the box, a lovely ball to the back post, and there was Kenneth Vargas to slide in a 9th goal of the season for the 22-year-old Costa Rican. Indeed, thought they had a foothold back in the game 5 minutes before the break. Referee Walsh pointing to the spot when Lyle Cameron's shot from the edge of the box struck Stephen Kingsley in the hand. It looked a harsh decision at first. The VAR official David Dickinson sent Walsh to the screen. He had a long old look, then he changed his mind and gave a corner. A real let-off for the Jambos, but they probably deserved to be in the front. Half-time at Tynecastle, Hearts 1, Dundee 0.
And we've also got half-time from Fraser Wishart, St Mirren against Kilmarnock. We lost them earlier, let's find out.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1 at the end of season game here. Basically both teams going at it. Good to watch, and a few real clear chances at either end. St Mirren are the better of the game so far, but Kelly going ahead through a really good Kyle Vassell goal. A frantic start to the game. St Mirren have the better of the first 10 minutes. Kelly had to defend. Number of crosses, did that well. First real chance, 12 minutes. The ball bounced to Toyosa Olasanya. It sat up really nicely, 20 yards out. and he shot wildly over the bar on the volley. Boy once, then the corner was headed back across goal by James Bolton. No Saints takers, the ball hacked away by Ndala. Scott Tadzer had scored brilliant skill, chasing the ball down, he's back to goal. Brilliant overhead kick, great save by Dennis, tip over the bar. The assistant ref puts flag up, but both sets of fans enjoying that. St Mirren continued to push for the opener. Derek McInnes, frustrated figure on the side. His team's attacks were rare, but back four doing really well, keeping down the chances at either end. And out of the blue, Kelly had a chance. Goggett missed kick, held herself, set up Watkins, who jogged his shot across the goal and wide about a yard. Then at 37 minutes came the opener. Dan Armstrong did really well on the right hand side. They won a tackle to set Marley goal down the right. He went past Goggett with his pace to the byline. He's low cross the back post to Kyle Vassell, and at the back post he showed real composure. The skipper take a touch, come inside and fire high into the net. Goal a bit against the overall run of play. Since responded, a strained corner bounced around the 6 yard box. Kelly fans behind the goal glad when Dennis managed to grab the ball. But although St Mirren had the majority of the play, they haven't tested Dennis enough in the Kelly goal for Stephen Robinson's liking. But a second for Kelly might just put this game to bed. A really interesting second 45 minutes ahead. Half time at the Smythe Stadium. St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Some interesting games out there. It is of course a day in which the headlines will be taken by Celtic's victory, which wraps up that title pretty much. But Motherwell putting a dent in Ross County's survival hopes as things stand, especially with St Johnstone beating Livingston in the other game. Hearts 1 up in Dundee and Kelly 1 up at St Mirren. Let's round this off, you, if we can.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The second.
Oh, my apologies.
We asked you to name the top scorers for each country in the top flight of Scottish football since the turn of the century from the following countries: Ireland, Denmark, Spain, France, Norway and Lithuania. From Ireland, Anthony Stokes, 102 goals. From Lithuania, Andreas Velička, 24. From Denmark, Peter Lovenkrantz, 35. Spain, Nacho Novo, 73. France, Oddson Edouard, 60. And from Norway, Tore Andre Flo with 29.
Tell you what, well done if you got them right. And I hope you enjoy the Eurovision tonight if you're that way inclined. Mark Fraser, well done to you, Mark, in third place. Darren McKinley in second, so congratulations to you, Darren. But the main man who led the way from the start was Token Jester. Well done on the first half teaser. And we've got a nice Who Am I for you in the second half as well. We'll get back to the second half of the 3 o'clock games, but don't forget the phone line's very much open, and some extremely interesting comments from the managers today still to come.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Second half's getting underway around the country. I didn't even ask you three for your predictions for the 3 o'clock games. It was just too much drama earlier on, but there we are. Don't forget it's a slightly different Saturday because of certain events at Celtic Park. The phone lines are open already, so 01419511025 is the number. Give us a call right now and we'll work our way through the second halves of the 3 o'clock games as well.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Looking for a pharmacy? They've been serving Scottish communities since 1996.
And there we are. Don't forget there are still big games. Hugh Keevins, you look at particularly that bottom, and it was an interesting night last night. Partick Thistle, that man Brian Graham, he's gone from strength to strength since I walked his dog with him at 7 o'clock in the morning for TV coverage. But you cannot, what a season he's having, and Thistle move on to the next one.
The irony is, you wonder if he gets to the end of the season and Thistle are back up in the Premiership, will he continue? Because he's at that time of life where the world of coaching might be calling him.
Oh, he'd give it a go, wouldn't he?
Oh, Mark? Without doubt he'll be there.
How old is he, Mark?
36, 37, 36, something like that. No, but he's certainly the man that Thistle players turn to, and got another couple last night.
Yeah, I think he could do a job.
Well, it's not about what I'm talking about. He wouldn't wrap it. I think is Hughes' sort of suggestion.
No, because obviously he loves playing football. You've seen the emotions last night. I was a terrific crowd as well.
Exactly. Brilliant crowd. Yeah.
Oh, listen, there's still a lot of work to be done before we even have that discussion. But in fact, he took his chance, didn't he? Went on TV and had a pop at the way the playoffs are structured. It is very difficult for the teams that finish down the Championship.
Well, we spoke about it for many years, all weighted towards the Premiership team. But if you're Partick, Thistle or Airdrie, having to go through 2 legs, and then Partick will go on and face Wraith on Tuesday night, and then at the weekend again for the option to play whoever finishes second bottom. It's a long road to negotiate, but that'll be another good tie. Wraith and Partick have served up some good ones this year as well.
Yeah, but it's not like you can't look at the Premier League and go that, oh, it's a great advantage because they're getting a lot of rest. St Johnstone and Ross County are still playing league games. They play on Wednesday night, then they play next week. So
yes, it's not, the scheduling's not as brutal as it used
to be. Yeah. So you've just got to get on with it. And
without revisiting private grief, Partick Thistle went to Dingwall a year ago and threw away promotion. It was theirs. It was in their hands. 20 minutes to go, the 3-goal lead, and they threw it away.
But that's what the Premiership's mostly about today. Enjoying the fact that the beach balls are out and people looking forward to European football as well. But it might be Partick, it might be Wraith Rovers, but which one of the Premiership teams will be there? They're both losing today. Sorry, St Johnstone are losing and Ross County. St Johnstone are winning and Ross County are losing. It's a bit warm for me in here.
It could come down to Wednesday night. Ross County have to go to McDermott, and that could be the decider for me.
As things stand, St Johnstone would go above Ross County by a single point, and as Gordon says, it's in their hands at home against Ross County.
St Johnstone have picked up some decent results away from home. I think it's their home form that's troubled them this season, and Ross County keep coming back to their creative players and how they play. Much more attractive. I think you've got better goal scorers within there. I think Don Cowie, no matter what happens today, will fancy his side to go to McDermott Park and get a victory. So I still stick to what I said a few weeks ago. I think Ross County will survive. St Johnstone will be in 11th.
No, St Johnstone will survive for me. I think that I think they'll have enough at home against Ross County. I think that's a decider one. So St Johnstone for me, and Craig Levein to remain in the Premier League.
You think he'll remain in the job?
Yeah, probably could.
Well, they'll come under new ownership, won't they? And they're American based, and anything could happen there.
Have you heard some of Craig Levein's post-match interviews recently?
He sounds a bit defeated, doesn't he?
I mean, if I'm a player and I'm listening to my manager, the way he is, it's not inspiring me.
He might get first shout for a show home on the 18-yard box when the new American owners come in. 22 acres.
Bulldoze the place. Anyway, let's do this, Hugh, for the second half.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Jockey Bjorklund and Jordan Henderson. I've been managed by Mick McCarthy. I've been capped for my country, scoring 1 goal, and I've won the English Championship. Who am I? Played alongside Jockey Bjorklund and Jordan Henderson, managed by Mick McCarthy, capped for my country, scoring 1 goal, and I've won the English Championship. Who am I?
Not a chance.
I have to say, this is exciting. Mark Wilson got it straight away.
Oh, how did you get that?
Straight away, let's see.
Straight away.
This is fun for me because I don't actually know the answer today.
That's
magnificent. That's what that is. That is
Great
magnificent.
Shout. Well done.
Where did you get that?
The clues.
No chance.
Obviously.
The clues.
Right, tell me the clues.
No, don't give it away. Let's leave.
Yeah, right.
It's all because do you know what sometimes gets lost a bit? The full-time teaser's not really for you. It's for people listening at home. You're just a sideshow to this.
Yeah, I totally take that on board, but I don't like people having fun, and I'm not.
I pieced it together. The jigsaw. Sometimes I'm quick at the jigsaw.
That was good. I was impressed with that.
Well done. At Clyde SSB, it is a race. It is a race. So try and get as
race is over.
Well, yeah, but
Wilson Bolt's done everybody.
Yep, happy with that work.
Okay.
Right, tell me the dog thing. Huh? Loving Crunch. Tell me the dogs.
So, do you never spend any time on Twitter?
No, I don't. I don't go on Twitter.
So basically, it's just one of these things that over the years has gone viral. So years ago, Peter Lovencrantz tweeted, 12 years old today. Love heart eyes emoji. Happy birthday to my beautiful boy. Okay. And then a link to his Instagram, and it's a picture of his dog, but you can't see the picture straight away. You need to click the link.
Right.
So someone replied, assuming it was his son or whatever he was talking to, and replied, hopefully grows up and scores goals against Celtic just like his old man. To which people then replied, obviously, a picture of Peter Lovencrantz's Rangers strip with a dog's head in his place. This is old news to people who use Twitter, but I'm glad I could bring some joy to you.
I like that.
It's
like
really
that.
good.
Yeah, I like that.
It can be a hell sight at times, but it has its moments.
It probably done better than one or two of them this afternoon.
It has its moments, I have to say. So there we go. Right, let's bring in Andy, who's from Garthamlock, but he's currently camping somewhere in Kinross. How's it going, Andy?
Not bad, yourselves?
How's the camping?
I've got a signal, so that's positive.
And did you get enough signal to find out that Celtic have pretty much won the title, or did you have to wait for that news?
No, I had a signal, had the radio on, and then I managed to watch the second half.
The wonders of modern technology. How does it feel then? What are you thinking today? What's your main feeling after it?
I mean, I know Hugh was talking earlier on about guys phoning in and apologising to Brendan Rodgers. And I understand that completely, 100%. I don't want to apologise to him because genuinely, when he left, I don't think I've had a level of anger that I had then. Like, managers don't leave Celtic to go to other clubs unless they get sacked. I think Brendan might actually be the only one that done it. That left kind of mid-season. I can understand his reasoning, but I would like to say well done more than sorry.
That's fair. Listen, it's not quite an apology, but this is fine. He didn't listen. Doesn't make much.
I'm not asking fans to apologise, because I said that Brendan Rodgers had no need to apologise to the fans, so I shouldn't ask fans to apologise to Brendan. But I think Andy has put it the right way, that he wants to congratulate Brendan Rodgers on winning the title. That this has been quite the season for Brendan Rodgers, and he's had it from all directions, from supporters, from media, and from ex-Celtic players.
Well, you're going to want to hear this from Brendan Rodgers, but very quickly.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hearts 2, Dundee 0. Alan Forrest doubles the Jambos' advantage. It's funny you call on that point, Andy. I don't know if this is aimed at you. I suspect it's aimed at other high-profile people, but Brendan Rodgers is not holding back in his post-match comments today. He's taking this opportunity to reference the fact that people maybe doubted him and that he has pretty much wrapped up the title today.
I suppose it's part of the game. I think I mentioned it in an interview beforehand that I think from a professional perspective, of course, there'll be doubt. From a personal perspective, I was surprised in a way where I heard somebody saying about Brendan Rodgers going through the motions earlier on in the season. Now, I get to work between 7:30 and 8 o'clock every day of my life. I leave the training ground between 6:30 and 7 o'clock at night. And then when I get home, I'll have my dinner and I'll probably flip on the computer and look at more football. Now, if that's going through the motions, I want to know what every other manager's doing. Because what is every other manager doing if I'm going through the motions? So, from a personal level, I've been treated like a novice since I've come back here. Like it's my first job. However, my principal objective is to make sure that Celtic win.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it was a former Celtic player who said that Brendan Rodgers was going through the motions, and obviously Celtic have had peaks and troughs this season. And while in the midst of a trough, the former Celtic player made that accusation. So Brendan Rodgers is getting it off his chest today, in light of the fact that he knows the title has been won today. You don't need to wait for 2 games. Celtic have won the title today. And I think he has had to deal with an awful lot on and off the park, and he's quite right to defend himself in terms of his work ethic. His work ethic is clearly first class. His experience came to bear late on when I think Philippe Clement, the tension of the title race got to Philippe Clement. He began to make peculiar comments, the moral victory at Ibrox, the lap of honour around Ibrox after 3-3 with Celtic, going up the tunnel at Dingwall without shaking Don Cowie's hand. It started to get to Philippe Clement. It did not get to Brendan Rodgers. He had the experience to get Celtic through the end of the season, and I think he's quite right to ask the question, if I'm going through the motions, what about those who didn't win the title?
I think that was aimed at you, Andy.
But the thing is, I don't dislike him. And in my place of work, I actually see him come in fairly often. It's just, like, congratulations to Brendan. We're all going to have a great day today. Philippe flopped. And, I mean, we watched that game today and Rangers were absolutely stinking. So, it's not an apology. It's just more well done and thank you.
What about Andy? They're giving away that he works in the Gucci shop.
Yeah.
You know that Brendan Rodgers comes into his work.
What we can do is throw back at Andy. Mark quite right points out. He said that no Celtic manager leaves to go to another club. Well, Postecoglou left to go to.
I think mid-season was Andy's distinction. It's funny, right? Firstly, I'll throw in my usual caveat because I can't be a hypocrite here. I always say when we talk about points totals compared in different seasons, you need to take it partly with a pinch of salt, because it doesn't take into account how strong the league is in any given season. You know, sometimes it can be a stronger league than others. However, you just might be interested in some of the stats that David Friel has drawn my attention to, because I know there's been a lot of criticism and people say Celtic weren't at their best. 87 points with 2 games to go. Brendan Rodgers' second title was won with 82 points. The Rodgers and Lennon combined season was 87 points, and Angie's first season was 93. Obviously Ange had a tough start, and like I say, pinch of salt stuff. I'm not saying that means everything, but just you might be interested in it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that at all. I think consistently throughout the season, I've said about Celtic, they've not played the most sparkling football, but they have went about their business in a professional fashion. I think the manager has to take huge credit for that. I think some of the post-match press conferences when he's got the team over the line and got big victories and not been really sparkling, he's had to, fight his corner sometimes, and that's where he said, I've been treated like a novice. He's shown he wasn't a novice in that respect. And I'll look at the games played, 36 played, 27 won, only lost 3 games all season. Now, having been at the club and played in a good Celtic team who were successful for years, I know how difficult that is to do. And people always point at the league and say, oh, how bad is everybody else? That's a bit disrespectful to the rest of the teams in our league. The player at one player of the year, doesn't he play for Celtic or Rangers this year? There's a reason the players voted him, because he's been outstanding, and there's many outstanding players in our league. So it does not surprise me when I hear past that, because we'll forget about what happened in the past usually. And I think Brendan Rodgers has chosen a good time to really get across his emotions and what he's been feeling for a number of months now. He's waited for the correct opportunity, none better than a victory against Rangers and all but wrapping up the title.
And Andy, with that comes Champions League money and so on. I take it's all about ultimately making sure it's even more secure next season than it was this season.
I don't know. I don't trust the Celtic board, but that's a whole other issue. I'll just enjoy the day. I'm sitting in the sun, a couple of beers, and take it as it comes. And I've got a lot of time for Hugh. He said earlier on, obviously, that the league was done by Rangers, and fair enough. That was his opinion at the time. But I mean, we're champions.
A lot of time for Hugh. How many beers have you had? I would be inclined to ask. But anyway, enjoy he's got the right idea. I know he's missed the game, but out camping in the sun, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
I'm not a camper.
I was going to say, you're asking
nothing floats your boat though, does it? Does anything apart from golf and don't answer that. I was going to say, does there anything else that floats your boat?
Floats my boat, but I'm not a camper. I just can't be bored with that nonsense.
He just doesn't like it, though, does he?
No, nothing. We were discussing off air about the things.
The Northern Lights last night, the full nation was buzzing off the Northern Lights last night. You just couldn't care less, could you?
Unfortunately, I missed them. I didn't see them.
But he's tucked up in bed before the Northern Lights comes out.
That wouldn't have excited you if you'd seen it.
No, really, no. I don't see what would excite you with that. What?
He said, what's so exciting? Big orange sky. Not even orange.
Well, big colour sky.
Every other colour,
like a once in a lifetime phenomenon.
Did
for
it only
people.
come out once in a lifetime?
No, but last night was about as bright as you'll ever see them above Scotland.
I'll catch them next year.
I think they're out tonight as well.
Are they?
Maybe.
Oh, might stay up for them.
You want to come over to mine and we'll go?
Yeah, we'll sit and do a bit of camping.
Because I must admit, everybody was like, it felt like people who lived close to me were particularly
excited about
it. That could see them well, and I fell asleep during Gogglebox last night.
I
was miles
you didn't
off
see them either.
This guy's got a wedding to attend to tonight.
Oh, got Shad's wedding tonight.
That's right, Hugh. Did you hear this?
No.
Thursday night. Oh, you were out on Thursday at Dion Warwick. Hear about this? Went to see Dion Warwick on Thursday night.
Warwick.
Walked out. Chucked it
in disgust.
Seriously?
Sang 2 songs in an hour and a quarter.
No, how was she doing?
Answering questions.
She Fraser Witcher's speech for the PFA.
Anyway, Rangers fan was she?
Who, Dion Warwick?
No, Sharon.
Sharon, yeah.
A Rangers fan phoned in on Thursday to say bit of a difficult day on Saturday because I'm getting married at 2 o'clock.
Oh,
and she invited the Dazzler to her wedding, so he's going to go up tonight and see what trouble he can cause.
I get married day of a
red sky tonight.
So you did?
Yeah.
Red sky
what was the score that day?
Rangers 0, Celtic 2.
What year?
August 14, 1971.
Back a bit.
Kenny Dalglish and Wally Wallace.
Who was in VAR?
Hadn't been invented then.
Really?
The world was a better place.
Thanks for clearing that up. 01419511025 is the number. Let's check in. We're going to bring in Ali in Bellshill in just a second. Remind us of your teaser, please, Hugh. You've not missed any more goals in the top flight, but this could be a big one because I think they would have been favourites and they're at home. East Kilbride 1, Stranraer 2. Craig Ross with the goal. So East Kilbride have been on a bit of a lower league juggernaut heading towards the Premiership, the SPFL, but Stranraer have other ideas for now. Your teaser, please, Hugh.
I have played alongside Jockey Buckland and Jordan Henderson. I've been managed by Mick McCarthy. I've been capped for my country, scoring 1 goal, and have won the English Championship. Who am I?
See, now that I know the answer, as everybody would say it, that is easy. That is easy to do.
Oh, don't take anything away from me, Gordon.
No,
speed.
Well done for the speed, but
speed was good.
Stephen Graham thinks it's Charlie Adam.
No,
let's get him out of the way. Keep your guesses coming. I'm not sure if there's room on the podium, but let's see how many of you know the answer to that one. Send it over, please. A reminder of how things stand. Livy 0, St Johnstone 1. Gabriel says St Johnstone could be 6-0 up. Sounds like a stretch for me, but we'll take it. He's a man of great integrity. Ross County 1, Motherwell 2. Good game, but the Steelmen lead. Hearts 2, Dundee 0. A kind of routine afternoon developing at Tynecastle. St Mirren 0, Kelly 1 as well. We will hear from Philippe Clement in the not too distant future, but the warm-up act will be Ali in Bellshill. What is it you want to get off your chest today, Ali?
How you doing, guys? First time call.
What made you call?
Willie Collins' performance today. I mean, I think he should have stuck with his on-field decision with the yellow for Lundstram. The decision to send them off changed the game. And I'm sitting here, I'm absolutely raging with it, to be honest with you.
What was wrong about it then? Tell us why they got that wrong, or how we got it wrong.
It's an old firm game. These challenges happen.
But see, that's the thing, Ali. That's the difficulty. I know we throw these phrases around, and I'm not trying to be patronising, right? But take a wee flip through the rule book. There's no asterisk that says it's an old firm game. So let somebody fly in and catch somebody in the studs with their ankle. It can't work that way.
Well, for me, it was a yellow. I think the yellow should have stood. I think Willie. I've heard he's returning at the end of the season. Is he wanting to go with a bang?
I don't know if he is, to be honest, I must admit.
No.
But Hugh, well, look, let's be honest, Willie Collum has come up with some big old moments in his career in Scotland, whether it's coming to an end or not, that we will debate, and we'll say that he got wrong. I just don't know if that red card's one of them.
I cling to my belief that on Old Firm Day, and Ali is the latest example, disappointment turns people into an irrational frame of mind. Willie Collum did what the rest of us did. We looked at it first time and we thought,
I'm not sure.
But he went to the monitor, and by the time he got to the monitor, we were seeing footage which proved conclusively, beyond all shadow of a doubt, that it was a red card offence. So who influenced the progress of the game was not Willie Collum, it was John Lundstram for diving into that kind of challenge. He cost Rangers, and I'd be very interested to hear what Philippe Clement's take on it was, but it was a red card, and there is no doubt about it.
My favourite bit of the summer is when I don't need to keep reading the rule book. But Ali, serious foul play, right? That's why he gets sent off. A tackle or a challenge that endangers the safety of an opponent or uses excessive force or brutality. Any player who lunges at an opponent and challenging for the ball from the front, side or behind using one or both legs with excessive force or endangers the safety of the opponent is guilty of serious foul play. Which of those boxes do you not think it ticks?
None of them. I don't think it ticks none of them.
But you don't think that was a lunge, and you don't think it had excessive force, and you don't think by catching Alistair Johnson flush with the studs on his ankle that it endangered his safety?
You get these full-blooded challenges in these games.
But that's
not the result. I think it's a yellow. See if VAR's not there, it's a yellow on it. The yellow stands.
Yes, but in that case, we're probably saying Willie Collum got that wrong, though. We're not saying that he got it right in that regard. As I say, Gordon, I get this, and I'm hearing it more and more this season. But I don't think the rules should be that way. Fine, knock yourself out, but whilst they are, that is the framework through which we need to base every decision. I've read the rule out. It's very tough within that rule to build a defence for John Lundstram.
I think everybody deserves their own opinion, but I cannot believe anyone that would say that that's not a red card. It's a stone wall red card, 100%. Not even an argument. Once you see it and you look at it again, it's a potential ankle breaker. Lundstram doesn't even complain about the red card. Let's be honest about it. I'll be very surprised if the Rangers manager complains about the red card. So I don't think you can blame Willie Collum. I think if you're going to have a look at anybody that's let the game down today, especially from Rangers' point of view, it's the guy that made the challenge, Lundstram.
I think the difficulty with it, Mark, if you're going to launch a defence, and Ali's trying, but he's just kind of saying, it happens in these games. Again, to refer to the rule, which I know is boring, it doesn't even have to tick all those boxes. It just needs to tick one, like one or two. But it feels like it probably ticks them all.
Pretty much all
with the
for me,
lunge,
Gordon. Yeah.
excessive force, endangering the opponent. You can see why Stephen McLean thinks it ticks all of them, thinks Willie Collum's made an error, and why Willie Collum agrees.
Without doubt. And look, often this season we've seen red cards, and then you slow it down and you think, oh well, I still don't think it's a red card. But when you slow everything down and freeze frame it, players are getting punished. I don't think that was in that scenario. I think even in real time, the speed he went in, you're thinking, oh right, okay. When you see the contact, there is no argument. And I'm amazed that other people who are making comments like Ali doesn't deem that a red card. What is a red card then, if that isn't?
Very quickly.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Remember how St Johnstone should have been 6-0 up?
One each.
Livy have equalised. It's Christian Montano. Gabriel it's totally against the wrong of play. He's desperate to get that in, but it is 1-1 in off the post, and that is a blow for St Johnstone, because they've got a real chance to take advantage of the fact Ross County are losing. Just back to the Ali's actually gone. I was going to bring him back in, but
the point that Ali makes, which it makes me smile. It's an Old Firm game, therefore you have a different set of rules, and those rules are the equivalent of unarmed combat. No, it's just another league game, and the old rules apply no matter who's playing. And anyone who believes that's not a red card is trying to get over disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause I think there's always a slight case to say that when the atmosphere's like that, don't get swayed and try and let the game flow and stuff, but that's not the same. That's not the same thing to say that tackles like that are okay because of the type of fixture that it's in.
Do you know what I think people are getting confused? Because Willie Collum gave a yellow and when the tackle went in. But when he went over and we seen it after the second replay, everyone in here knew that was a red card.
You know what? Sometimes I think we do get bogged down in holding that against the referee for getting it wrong in the first place. It is a good example of VAR, because we all did it when it's so fast, i.e. excessive force. You don't know if he's just wiped the ball away first, then when you see it. But that's just a good example of VAR. I don't think it matters that Willie Collum thinks it's a yellow in the initial instance. And I think generally, Mark, football needs to be careful of not obsessing over freeze frames like you mentioned, but I can see people wondering why they do that for point of contact. That's why there needs to be a freeze frame in there somewhere. Now, it can't be the only thing that they look at, and they should look at it in full speed, and they should look at it slowed down, but there will be a bit that's a freeze frame so that you know where does John Lundstram's foot land, because that's how you determine the endangering the safety of the opponent. But that's why they do it. But anyway, everyone's got their own take on it. Ali doesn't agree. Here's what Philippe Clement had to say. There's a bit in here on the performance and on John Lundstram as well.
The first 20 minutes we were not aggressive enough. So that, and after of course the red card, decided the game. Because after the 20 minutes we were coming into the game, we had enough chances also in the first half. At half-time, the expected G of the two teams was similar. Only a few more shots from distance from Celtic. And you need to take those moments then, but we need to start better, that's clearly. And we need to play 90 minutes like they played the last 70. What was also, of course, more and more difficult if you play with 10. So that was a thing that I never want to see. And Lenny is the first one who knows, all the group knows. I don't want to see that kind of tackles, not anywhere on the pitch, and there was totally not necessary. So it's one split second a wrong decision making of a player, but I don't forget also what he's been doing for the team last couple of months together, and all these years for Rangers also. So he's the first one who knows he made a mistake there.
Well, there you have it. The manager saying it's not the kind of tackle that you want to see anywhere. And that is his condemnation of John Lundstram, and absolute proof that Rangers have no problem with the red card. He has a problem with the fact that Lundstram let down his other 10 players and the manager has conveyed his disappointment in Lundstram to the player. But at the same time, he's applauding Lundstram for what he's done in other games. However, if the red card, as Philippe Clement said, decided the game, then John Lundstram cost Rangers the game.
Fine with managers putting a positive spin on it and whatever, and who am I to argue with the XG stats that Philippe Clement brings up? I think there's a value in them at time, just tells you the quality of your chances. I think people maybe get a bit carried away with it. It's not more than that. You don't have to say it's the be all and end all. It's just about quality of chance. However, he said that after 20 minutes, I think he said, was when Rangers were coming back into it. Between 20 minutes and half time is when Celtic go 2-0 up. So I don't know if that'll offer much comfort to Celtic fans tonight.
I think Philippe Clement's spot on with a red card, and Hughes went over that. He thinks it's a red card. He knows Lundstram's made a mistake, so does the player. But I find Philippe Clement's post-match press conferences in recent weeks odd. You know, you think back to Ross County, you think the game at Dens, and he's often seems to see a different thing, or he's trying to paint it in a totally different picture from what's actually happened. You're totally right, Gordon, to point out after 20 minutes we commit. It's not really the case. Silva missed a good opportunity at the back post, no doubt about that. He should score, but at the other end, Celtic created opening after opening. O'Reilly could have added to it. Kyogo had a good chance that Butland saved. Forrest was in, the one that comes off Butland's face. So Celtic had good opportunities and scored 2 goals within that time. So tends to see a different thing, or try to paint it in a different light from what actually happens in these last 4 weeks, which might be the pressure, Might be a bit of, trying to shield his team a bit, but I find it odd sometimes.
We'll never know if there's enough, changed it in the fact that could Rangers of 11v11 went on and won it. I didn't see any evidence. I know they get back into the game straight away. I thought get to half time and then see if you can tweak one or two things. You would still been 2-1 down. Celtic are just a better football team. You know what I mean? I just think that Celtic have got the Rangers number just now. I think the manager's done a good job since he come in. I agree with Mark. A couple of times he's come out after games and said things that I find a little bit baffling. But I think he's a good fit for Rangers. I think he'll get to the summer. He's still a massive game against Celtic in the cup final. And then he'll need to clear a lot of these players out.
Because structurally, Mark, we've not really analysed this side of thing because we're on about the big moments, but you look at the goal Matt O'Reilly scores, Celtic have loads of chances like that. There was so many players kind of lining up on the edge of the box, and I know they're not, I think that's what Philippe Clement was alluding to, they're not high percentage chances, but Matt O'Reilly should do better with the one he drags past the post. It felt like it kept coming out to someone on the edge of the box with loads of space, and that was because Rangers weren't tracking runners presumably and Celtic were playing through them.
Well, I always think the obvious thing when you're setting up to make it hard for teams, and especially teams with good midfielders like Celtic, that you protect the centre of the pitch and between the goals, and particularly from about 25 yards out. I thought Rangers did the opposite. I thought it was so open at times. We saw Hatate having a go. We saw Callum McGregor have two efforts. One went over the bar. We had James Forrest having two on his left foot, all from that central area. And then you look at the slow-mo of some of those missed chances, and you look at Rangers midfield matching runners and wide guys matching runners, and there was a lethargy about it. There was just a lack of intensity about how they wanted to stop Celtic going forward. That would be a concern for me if I was Philippe Clement. Now, he's got 2 league games to go, but he's got the Scottish Cup final on a big pitch at Hampden. If his team turn up like that, or with that attitude that they did in some of those moments, then Celtic will pick them apart again.
Let's bring in John, who is a Celtic fan. How does that one feel, John?
Hi, good afternoon, boys. Gordon. Feels great, but listen, I'm like the boys here. I don't know where this guy's coming from, because see the chances Celtic had with 11 men on it when they had 11 men. If they chances tucked away, we could be 3 or 4 up there. But Mark's Wilson's spot on, and so am I. Celtic were dominating that game today, right? And I actually see when the Rangers went down to 10 men, actually in the second half, I think Celtic took their feet off the gas. Right, they could have stepped up at any time. Again, I'm watching the game thinking, right, okay, we've got another gear here, but me personally, I think they've took their feet off the gas. I was on a couple of weeks ago, before you got into that, I just said there, I said to Gordon Dale and Jim Duffy was on the programme, I said there's 2 games for me, guys, in my opinion. We beat Hearts, we're going to beat Rangers, the league's done. You remember that, Gordon?
Yeah, because I counter-attacked you with the fact that I thought that was all about today's game, because I said that both teams would win their 2 fixtures leading into this game, and that's what happened. So we were both right, John, and I think we take a lot of pats in the back for it.
You're always right, Gordon. You're like my hero. But no, listen. But today, Mark Wilson, I have to back Mark up here. Celtic had team chances. I always think Celtic had another gear, Gordon. I think Celtic had another gear to go up if they needed it, and the fans would have a wee bit noisier as well if it need be. But again, I was one of the guys. I love Brendan Rodgers coming back. Listen, Brendan Rodgers is a quality manager. Quality. When he came to Celtic, when he came back to Celtic, I was like, that's a big signing again. To get that guy to come back to Celtic was brilliant. And Hugh Keevans, you were saying about when Brendan came back, you had a call on it, or somebody said, no, he's away now, the boy. He comes on your show. I think he was commentating for you at the Celtic game. I think he's away now. But he said majority of Celtic fans didn't want Brendan Rodgers. Absolute rubbish. You had a pocket, and you had a small amount, right? And we know, but majority of Celtic fans know what Dermot Desmond brought back, and that was quality.
It's not just quality. Experience of this conflict with Rangers. Brendan Rodgers was a master when it came to composure in the last few weeks, and Philippe Clement lost his way. His team lost their way on the park, losing to Ross County, drawing with Dundee, dropping 5 points in 4 days, and creating a booby trap for their own title hopes. But Brendan Rodgers then, in that period, got stronger and stronger, and the team got better and better because the best players came back. It was all beautifully synchronised. They couldn't have planned it any better. And today, they did get the job done. The second half, I thought, you describe it, John, as taking their foot off the gas. I don't think they even put their foot on the gas. It was a poor second half, and therefore a nervy conclusion to the match when the 7 minutes were held up. That was a nervy conclusion. But I remain convinced that today is about Brendan Rodgers and what he overcame throughout the course of a topsy-turvy season, held his nerve, won a title.
It just shows you again, big moments, because see if Martorelli scores that penalty.
Yeah.
And you can debate, I suppose, whether it should have been given or not. Celtic actually were comfortable up until that point.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget. Then they miss it, and then the nervousness maybe sets in.
If he'd scored, you were looking at a 4 or a 5 for Celtic.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Thank you very much to John on the line. We've got another goal to tell you about, and it is he's leaving in style. Some actually might say form dipped a bit when the pre-contract was announced, but Blair Spittle has curled in a 20-yarder in Dingwall. What a strike that is. Probably not as good as the one he scored against Ross County earlier in the season, because that was outrageously good. But my word, he likes scoring against his former team, Blair Spittle. Motherwell 3-1 up in Dingwall.
Yeah, that's a good result, especially you look at the fact that Ross County are fighting for their lives down the bottom of the league. They've been very difficult to beat up there. They've got a few good scalps, but Motherwell, good win last week at Fir Park, up today. They're backing that up with another 3 points, and you're right, Gordon, I think Spittle will be a massive miss for Motherwell. He's been absolutely terrific for them.
We're back to as things stand. Ross County will lose, but St Johnstone, if it's a draw in West Lothian, then Ross County will still be a point ahead of St Johnstone going into their next match, which is against St Johnstone.
I'm not quite expecting the same shockwaves as the game at Celtic Park, but do you know what result fascinates me today? And this is the brutal nature of the playoffs. Peterhead against Spartans. Bear with me. Peterhead finished above Spartans in the table, so they've had a slightly better season. They then meet in the playoffs. In the first leg, Spartans go and beat Peterhead, but only 2-1. You think there's still a bit of mileage in it. Today, Spartans have gone to Peterhead and won 5-1. Finished below them in the league, a 7-2 on aggregate. Yes, Peterhead down to 10 men today. And that's it. That's the unforgettable. We saw Airdrie do it, didn't we? Finish below Falkirk last season, but still get promoted. So
on top of that, a good buffet for a bus the way down.
You like Peterhead, don't you? They look after you.
Best spread out.
You have to peak at the right time.
You certainly do. Yeah, I remember all those years ago when I was in them, but Brecon finished miles behind Alloa and Airdrie and went all the way and got promoted. Then get into the championship, didn't win a game.
Was it
all
Dan
season.
Dodds that was the manager then?
It was. That. Yeah, it is brutal. And your season, so much optimism for these teams going into playoffs. If you're the one looking up, and then your season could be over just like that. It was similar for Airdrie last night. Airdrie played really well last night, played good football, but hit the bar in the closing moments, and then that's it. Their season's done and dusted.
Where's the first leg of that playoff?
Firhill. You coming Tuesday?
No, I'll be.
You should come on, because you said that you've Bath night's a Monday in the summer, so that Tuesday's free for you.
Are relaxed.
You'll be here actually.
Yeah, but I'll head to Starks Park on Friday. I'll go up to that game. I'll probably go up and do a few selfies, sign a few autographs.
Do a few selfies.
Do the half-time draw.
You're not invited to do that though.
I would be. The minute I say I'm arriving in town, boom, roads closed, everything.
Right, Hugh, let's leave some room just in case we get any of the late drama. Let's do this.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I played alongside Jockey Bjorkland and Jordan Henderson I was managed by Mick McCarthy, capped for my country, scoring 1 goal, and I won the English Championship. I am Kevin Kyle.
Well done if you got it. Kevin Kyle is the answer. Graham, I thought, has he been on the Who Am I before?
Yeah, last week.
Last week. We changed the clues, you see. It was a while ago, so it's still a good question. Graham McLachlan is third place, Michael Donati in second, and Mark Robson is the winner. Well done to you, Mark. You've got the bragging rights. Mark will be at the barbecues tonight, won't he? Just telling everybody. Did you hear me? I'm Super Scoreboards, Mark Robson, winner of the second half teaser, much like you do on a Saturday night out and about. No invites to any barbecues tonight, no?
Sharon,
He's going to the wedding. He's been serious.
I'll get the rolling sausage at 12 o'clock.
I've got the old barbecue, I think. Fired up. Yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't barbecue in your flat if I was you. That's not advisable. Hang out the window.
Hang out the window, get the window open and get a wee portable down.
I can't be responsible for that.
Couple of sausages, couple of steaks. Bob Jerome.
Steaks. That guy's got a bit of cash, yeah. Dubai 1 week, steaks on the barbie the other.
Honestly, I'm cake.
But if only you could see him with his sleeves rolled up and his trackies rolled up,
Obviously don't spend any of that in fashion.
sitting in an office chair outside Clyde 1HQ when I arrived.
Don't flash it about, boys. I just keep it quiet.
Anyway, right. Can we get any late drama? What would the most dramatic
St Johnstone,
thing? Yeah.
I mean, if they could find a goal from somewhere, it would be a very good day for them. But as things stand, with Gabriel telling us that they have been wasteful in front of goal, they're 1-1. They're still a point behind Ross County, and the teams meet in Perth midweek.
Down the leagues as well in the playoff. Big goal for Inverness because it was 0-0 in Montrose for the first leg, and it was going along the same way, but Big Dunk's side got themselves in front. Looks like they'll play Hamilton, I think, in the final.
Peterhead 1, Spartans 5 confirmed, so Spartans winning 7-2 on aggregate. I think it's still goalless, is it? Stirling Albion, Dumbarton, and
Stirling need a goal, don't
Stirling need a goal to level the tie there, so running out of time to do so, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it looks like that is the case. What else is going on? Just substitutions really all over the place. Late subs trying to run down the clock for some, trying to get back in for others.
Yeah, well, many changes needed. Looking at both teams, Celtic Rangers today, a lot of changes with the heat. It's the time of year.
Water breaks today,
yeah.
Is that right?
By the way, last night we had the under-18s game, and when you get the
how did it go?
AstroTurf,
I could barely sleep worrying about the result.
1-1.
Who were you playing?
We were playing Inverness.
Right,
1-1.
1-1, aye. Last game of the season.
You either get beat or you draw. There's nothing in the
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
What a result for Motherwell. 4-1 up in Dingwall. Davor with the goal. Might be his first in Motherwell colours. He's not scored many. Theo Bair this time turning provider after many goals himself this season. An easy finish. And the curious case of Ross County at home, beating Rangers there. Yeah. A brilliant record against some of the bigger teams in the league. It was at 6 without loss, without defeat at home. And the Steelmen, with nothing to play for, by the way, go up there and run away with it.
It's a shocking result from their perspective, and that you're going into a game against St Johnstone on Wednesday, which could determine your fate, and you're going in the back of a hiding, so never good.
8 goals in 2 games. Motherwell are really coming with a great run at the end of the season.
Oh, don't forget, they're not still the third highest scorers in the league.
Yeah, no wonder. 8 goals in 2 games so far.
54 goals.
That's incredible.
The entertainers. The entertainers.
Yeah.
That is incredible, isn't it? See, when you think back to the season, the start, the question was, where are the goals going to come from? Not, that'll be no problem, and then we'll suddenly forget how to keep the back door closed. But there we go. 5 added in Livingston. What can St Johnstone come up with at the end? Do you know what I'm blaming for this? No offence, Don Cowie, but the shirt and jumper combo that served you well has to go on a day like this.
He's not wearing it today,
it's roasting, and he's stuck with the shirt and jumper. He's sweating, he's under pressure, and his team have absolutely blown it. Coincidence?
Can relate to that,
not for me.
I can relate to that.
Because you've not ironed your shirt?
No, because it's superstition. You know what I mean?
Right, but hold on. So if last week you've had a parka on, you're keeping it on even though it's
100%. You'll do anything.
No.
Well, if Mark was okay, he could change every week. You know what I mean? He could give
all sorts of solutions. It's one to change the shape of the
one.
ball. Can we change that to a rugby ball?
Try something different.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
PFA Scotland's Player of the Year, Hearts Player of the Year. Will he win Football Writers Player of the Year next weekend? And a 30th goal of the season for Lawrence Shankland. 3-0 to Hearts, 3-0 on the scoreboard, 3-0 for Lawrence Shankland as well. He's gone a little bit quieter in recent weeks, but what an achievement that is.
Frightening, honestly. I mean, to rebuild his career from when he came, so many ups and downs, but to be the main man at Hearts, the captain, and 30 goals, tremendous season for him.
Can't argue with that. Terrific. I agree with Mark. I think he's came a long way from his days even down at Somerset, playing with Ayr United, and to captain his team this season, finish third. They've had a good season and score 30 goals. I would be surprised. I know who David Friel's voting for, but I'd be surprised if the rest of the lads didn't vote for him.
And then again, we'd look ahead to Germany. What is his role going to be with Scotland? Is it going to be an impact substitution? Is he in with a shout, a lead in the line? You know, it's going to be an interesting one for Steve Clarke. I wonder if it's all about form and who is in top form.
Big goal this.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it's a goal for Livingston. Dead and buried, but scoring and winning the game presumably today. Livingston 2, St Johnstone 1. It's a bad day for both then, St Johnstone and Ross County. I suppose none of them lose ground on the other, but missed opportunities. Andrew Shinnie in the 95th minute.
Well, that's a shocking result for St Johnstone. This is a team, Livingston, who were relegated officially last weekend. St Johnstone, Gabriel at the game telling us, could have been 6 up, and they've now contrived to lose the match. Shocking result.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
5-1 Motherwell. I phoned a friend I have some, believe it or not, this morning, who was on a supporters bus on the way.
I know the fella.
It sounded lively, let me tell you.
It would be when he's a bit.
It didn't have the feeling of a game that had no meaning attached to it. And Harry Payton has made it Ross County 1, Motherwell 5. That's a couple of former Ross County players coming back to haunt their old team today. That is, not only, Gordon, is that bad for the league table if you're Ross County, but what does that do to your confidence trying to stay in the league? That is an absolute doing.
Yeah, especially at home, because I think that everybody looked at Ross County's home form thinking if they're going to stay in this league, automatically it'll be their home form. But all credit, I said 8 goals in 2 games, now 9. All credit to Motherwell, living up there, and I'm sure the lads in the bus will have a terrific journey on the way home.
Full time in Dingwall. Here's David Friel.
Yeah, full time, Ross County 1, Motherwell 5. I might jump on one of those supporters buses, Gordon. 321 away fans, the great entertainers, Motherwell, of the Premiership. What a game, 5 goals, they could have scored more. 4 last week, 5 this week. Unbelievable performance from Stuart Kettlewell and his side. Blair Spittle clearly standing out. He scored twice against his old club. Motherwell move up to 7th. He's bound for Hearts, but he clearly wants to leave instead. He's now won 13 for the season. His second goal was top class. Another goal of the season contender from Blair Spittle, but this was a game to forget for Ross County in the battle to avoid the relegation playoff. They were second best pretty much all day. They had been unbeaten in 6 home games coming into this one, but were well off the pace. It looks like they will stay 2 ahead of St Johnstone, but this midweek clash at McDermott Park is now even bigger. Motherwell started really well. Ross Laidlaw made a terrific save from Andy Halliday, but he was badly at fault as Spittle put Motherwell ahead in 8 minutes. Laidlaw failed to gather a long ball from Liam Kelly. Spittle was able to finish from a tight angle. County responded well. They were level 6 minutes later. Eli King played down Simon Murray. His low finish under Liam Kelly. That was his 20th of the season. County were on top for a spell, but Motherwell took lead again in the stroke of half time. Georgie Gent's deep free kick wasn't claimed by Laidlaw, wasn't dealt with the defence, and Paul McGinn finished for his first Motherwell goal in his 78th appearance. Jordan White, one of 3 half-time subs. He headed over from close range in 60 minutes. Kelly saved from Josh Sims, and Jan Danda also missed a chance, but Motherwell were always a threat. Theo Bair hit the side netting, and then Spittle did make it 3-1 in 82 minutes. Bair nudged the ball back to him 20 yards out on the angle. We knew what was coming next. Bent a shot into the top corner. What a goal, but there was more to come from Motherwell. Theo Bair again teed up Davos Ravgovsky for an easy fourth. That was his first goal for the club, and Harry Payton against his old club Ross County then added a late fifth with a brilliant run and finish. Motherwell are flying, the fans are loving it, but County will need to pick themselves up quickly for midweek. Full time, Ross County 1, Motherwell 5.
Wow, what a result that is. It doesn't mean a great deal for Motherwell, but really damaging for Ross County. It's finished in Livingston, and how does that affect things at the bottom, Gabriel?
Yes, full time, it's Livingston 2, St Johnstone 1. Talk about smash and grab, Gordon. Andrew Shinnie scoring a stoppage time winner after Christian Montano's equaliser canceller Adama Sidibe's early goal. It has to go down as 3 points drop for Craig Levine's side, who had the lead and 25 shots, but somehow ended up on the losing side. Now, St Johnstone, of course, a team with things to play for. They're trying to stay up, and you can see that right from the off. They had 5 chances in the first 10 minutes, and by the time Sidibe turned it in, it could have been 4-0. A splash strike from Stevie May, rolled across the box. Sidibe could not miss, turned it into the empty net. Livy, all at sea, looked completely distant. It was so easy for their opposition. There were boos. Just 10 minutes in, Gordon really says it all about this side. But they started to grow into the game. They're almost fed off the spurned chances by Craig Levine's side. Dimitar Mitov forced into some decent saves himself before the interval. But then St Johnstone started the second half on the front foot again, looking for that second goal, that cushion. Shamal George forced into 2 more big saves from Nicky Clark, Cameron McPherson. When you miss these chances, you will be left to rue them. Christian Montano ensured that was the case as he turned in Stephen Kelly's in-swinging corner at the far post. With around 20 minutes left to play, it was set up for a big finish. But who would go on to win it? You had to say it looked like it would be the Saints. They were playing for more, and Nicky Clark was through on goal in the 92nd minute after a beauty of a ball through from Graham Carey. It looked like he was going to score, but he pulled the shot just wide. Looked like they were going to have to settle for a point. But then, like a sucker punch, substitute Andrew Shinnie turned the ball into the roof of the net with the game's last attack. Cheers from the crowd here. They have salvaged some pride for David Martindale's men, who are, of course, already relegated. But with Ross County losing at home to Motherwell, and all of the chances Levine's side had, it was a golden opportunity to climb out of the relegation playoff spot. Yes, the two sides meet at McDermott Park on Wednesday night for a huge battle at the bottom, but it feels like if they do go down, this is the game they will look at that they had to win, and they somehow didn't. Full time here, it's Livingston 2, St Johnstone 1.
Well, what a result that is. Let's try Tynecastle and speak to Roger Hanna.
Yeah, Hearts 3, Dundee 0. Gordon, the Jambos fans at the beach balls out for Europe, and then their heroes rediscovered the way to goal to show exactly why they're heading to continental competition next season. Referee Nick Walsh delayed the game at 0-0 and asked the recalled Hearts goalkeeper Craig Gordon to help him remove the inflatables from this pitch. But once Hearts got going, they really sizzled in the Gorgie sunshine. The recalled Barry Mackay teed up Kenny Vargas for the opener in 35 minutes. A lovely ball from the left corner of the box to the back post, and it was a 9th goal of the season for the Costa Rican. Referee Walsh awarded Dundee a spot kick before the break when he thought Stephen Kingsley had handled Lyle Cameron's shot. VAR David Dickinson sent him to the screen, and after a lengthy delay he changed his mind and awarded a corner. Then Mackay, the creator again for Hearts' second goal in 53 minutes. A lovely ball through. Alan Forrest ran onto it. He beat the Dark Blues offside trap. He rounded goalkeeper John McCracken, and he slid home a left foot shot from an angle. There was no way back for Dundee. They tried hard. Gordon made a good save from Luke McCowan's shot. Owen Dodgen was then denied at the back post, but the Jambos finished strongly. 17-year-old substitute James Wilson had an angled drive pushed behind by McCracken and was inches away from converting Alec Cochrane's low cross. But Shanklin showed him the way to goal and added time, a 30th of the season, a close range left foot finish for the PFA Scotland Player of the Year to put the icing on the cake for Stephen Naismith's side today. They're third in the league by a distance. They deserve to go to Europe. They've enjoyed their day today. Hearts 3, Dundee 0.
You can just imagine the scene. A man who's had a busy time, the top dog at PFA Scotland, his big awards ceremony's come and gone, he's got the feet up, the sun's out, he's watched some association football this afternoon. How was it, Fraser Wishart?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it, Gordon. It's always a time of celebration, including our awards, but they're celebrating to my right hand side. I hope you can hear the Kilmarnock fans, because the game finished 3 or 4 minutes ago with the sight of Derek McInnes with his shirt and his trousers on, doing the aeroplane in front of the Kilmarnock fans. They are absolutely delighted, as are the team, and so they should be. What a season they have had. The win today secures 4th place, Europa League qualifiers. Really solid professional performance, just like they have done all season. Defended well and dangerous on the break, and no wonder the Killie supporters, a couple of years ago they were down in the Championship, and now they're going to play in Europe, and they were ahead at the break, probably against the run of play. An excellent goal, 37 minutes. Armstrong won a tackle, he set Watkins away down the right hand side. His pace took him past Gogic to the byline, low cross to the back post. Lascelles, rather than rush, was very composed, took a touch, came inside and fired high into the empty net. Someone had more pressure the first 45, it didn't test Dennis enough. Olasanya had the best chance, volleyed wildly over when the ball sat up next. A similar pattern to the second half. McMenamin cross, came off the head of Finlay. He was happy to see Dennis grab the ball from a strained corner. Tanzer overhead kick was palmed away by Dennis. The rebound hooked over by O'Hara, but Killie back forward defending so well. St Mirren couldn't create any real clear cut chances. Olasanya next to have a go again, a volley from McMenamin cross just a yard wide. Killie in a spell of pressure almost got the second. Watkins forced a good save from Hemmings with his feet at the front post, and then Dees thought he'd scored. Powerful header tipped over by the Saints keeper. Stephen Robinson made 3 changes, changed the pattern of the game. McMenamin sent a lovely ball to put Olasanya through in the inside left position. He hit his shot first time. It was a brilliant effort. His left foot dipped over Dennis, but unfortunately for the St Mirren supporters, hit the bar and wide. Olasanya then saw a shot kicked off the line by Dees on 90 minutes, and nobody at my right hand side will care as the Killie players go off to huge applause, because St Mirren didn't do enough in the last third against a back 4 in top form. So well done to Kilmarnock. They can enjoy their last 2 games, securing 4th place and playing in the Europa League qualifiers next year. It's been a fantastic season for them. Full time at Smizer, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Well, what did you make of that? 01419511025. That is the number you need. You can react to the 3 o'clock games. A real bad day for the likes of St Johnstone and Ross County down there. A brilliant day for Motherwell. If you want to reflect on those, you can. I suspect the day in which Celtic pretty much wrapped up the title against Rangers of all teams will dominate your thought processes. That's fine. 01419511025. Get your calls in right now.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dale are in the studio, and they want to know your thoughts on today's football. A very broad question, but what are you thinking then, Celtic fans? The title's pretty much in the bag as far as everyone seems to be concerned, and you understand why. 6 points, a superior goal difference, 2 games to go. So how are you feeling then? How do you look back on winning that title? You might want to do big picture about the season as a whole, or today. Where was it won for you, Celtic fans? What was good? What frustrated you about the second half, maybe? Or does none of that matter? And then maybe more interesting is always when the team loses. Rangers fans, I wonder how you're feeling about some of those performances and John Lundstram's part in it, and where the failings are. Again, another season where you've had to ultimately, or you probably will have to sit back and watch a Celtic captain lift that trophy. So 01419511025. Big wins for the likes of Livingston, Motherwell, Hearts and Killie at 3 o'clock as well. Quite a day, Hugh.
Yeah, quite the day, and it would take a collapse on Celtic's part for them not to win the title. It'll be an interesting atmosphere at Ibrox Tuesday night. Rangers against Dundee. The Rangers supporters not happy with what went on today, or with the fact that Dingwall and Dundee appear to have done for their title aspirations. Kilmarnock on Wednesday night, carnival atmosphere in one stand where the Celtic supporters will be housed, and they'll be looking for that single point that absolutely confirms Celtic as the champions. But it's a major day for Brendan Rodgers, who's had to overcome so much in this tumultuous season, and has come out against his critics after the game, who he describes as calling him a novice manager, and picking on one critic in particular who said that Brendan Rodgers was going through the motions. Well, he wasn't going through the motions, and he's won the title.
I think the next 2 games for Rangers are very important. As much as they'll be disappointed that the league has gone, they've got to get into this cup final with a bit of form, a bit of confidence. They've got still an opportunity of finishing the season winning a double, which, if you look at Rangers at the beginning under Michael Beale, it's quite acceptable. But I don't think you can just go and say, right, I feel sorry for ourselves on Tuesday night against Dundee. You've got to make sure that you're playing, you're getting about the game a little bit, a bit of sharpness again, get back to winning ways, and everything must be geared towards, is it 25th?
Yes.
25th, yes, against Celtic, because you can't afford to lose that cup final as well.
Let's bring in Jim, who's a Rangers fan from Rotherglen. How do you look back on it today, Jim?
Hi, how you doing, guys?
Good, thank you.
Very well. Well, see, as soon as I saw the team, Clement's been getting into a title decider with guys that are leaving the club in 3 weeks. Barisic, Lundstram. We Ridvan come on and had a stormer. He's no gave Raskin a sniff and then brings him on. I don't know, it was about 60 minutes. Basically, come on, save our season. Clement with Rangers is, the close season's going to make or break the guy, because the guys that we've got, I always say, our tried and trusted core can't be trusted. That's your problem. And anybody we bring in with A guys still there, they'll just come into that mentality. But regarding Celtic and Rangers, I don't know if we're getting closer to them or they just don't need to be very good anymore to beat us. I listened to Rodgers' press conference, acting the big man. He's beat one of the poorest Rangers sides. That's pre-Gerrard, poor team now. So he's not done a great job. But regarding where we are, we need a massive overhaul.
I don't know though, Jim, right? Do you think pre-Gerrard poor, as in like teams that first season back, didn't even finish second in the league? I know you don't feel strongly about them, but this team went to Betis this season and won. This team, and I know you can bring in Celtic, then went to the 11th of May before it realistically came over. Is that not some sort of self-preservation thing where you try and take something away from Celtic's achievement by actually, going overboard in your criticism of your team? They're not pre-Gerrard poor.
Sorry. I think the thing with our team is, regarding the skill or how good they are, it's bottle. It's absolute bottle. And nobody had any confidence in us the day to pull something at the bag. Now, they actually did the exact same thing last season with Beale. When the pressure was off, they went on a good run because it didn't matter. And they've done the exact same this season to the wet top, and Motherwell beat us. And then with that week for hell with Ross County and Dundee, that's the problem with our team. It's the bottle that we've got when it gets to the crunch. We just don't have the players that we can rely on.
I would also take issue with you, Jim, over Brendan Rodgers was acting the big man. Brendan Rodgers was defending himself against things that had been said about him this season and defending his work ethic by detailing his daily process. So I don't know where you get the acting the big man from.
Well, I'm just taking the point that he's not beating a good Rangers side. That's what I'm saying. The team that we had out today, with 10 men with 15 minutes to go, with no class of composure, but we were all over them. We were actually all over them for the last 15 minutes, but we never had the players of the calibre to get a goal back. That's what I'm saying. He's not beat a really good Rangers side to get this, to give him all the praise, Hugh. That's the only point I'm making.
You can't just change it. I mean, up until about 5 hours ago, this is a Rangers team that was going for a treble. You know what I mean? Realistically, it takes something special to get a treble over the line. Now, if Philippe Clement did get it over the line in a treble, Rangers fans would be on here saying the total opposite of Jim. It's a great team he's built since Beale's left. There's a solidity about it. There's creative players. So you can't just change that opinion and say, oh, it's not very good. You're right, Gordon, bringing up when they went to Europe and games like that. They did look at a good outfit. And I think we've praised them on this show since Philippe Clement has come on as a much transformed unit for what Michael Beale had. There's no doubt about it, and there's been good performances in there. So because your rivals then beat you, you can't then just say, our team's not very good, so they don't deserve credit.
Jim did have some specific criticisms about today, Gordon, and I know, look, you've stuck by him for a long time. Presumably the only reason Yilmaz didn't start is because he wasn't fit. I think you can even see when he came on now. I know it's hard for you to accept after years of love. He's a more dangerous option, is he not, in terms of the way he carries the ball?
100%. I just always defended Barisic because I thought throughout his career at Rangers he had some really, really top times, and I thought he came in for a lot of unfair criticism. Without shadow of doubt, Yilmaz is the number one left back just now. a bit surprised. Like Mark, I was looking and thinking, would have been better starting the game for me. If you can get the 50, 60 minutes out of them, then fine, change it. I look at other players. I look at Rangers midfield. I thought the manager got his team selection wrong today. I thought his midfield, I thought he would have tweaked one or two things. Cantwell doesn't even go on the pitch. He's been a big player for Rangers.
Is that wrong from Philippe Clement, or is that an indictment of the player?
I just think that Lawrence looked well off it for me,
yeah,
right?
Fair.
Well off it. Lundstram obviously let himself down, Diamonde, and I'll even give a guy a little bit of stick today that I normally back to the hill as the Rangers captain. I know he comes in for a lot of criticism sometimes for Rangers supporters. I thought Tavernier was very, very poor indeed.
Well, we'll thank Jim for his thoughts on 01419511025. Let's hear from Brendan Rodgers on that title. Whilst you get your calls in.
Well, it's significant, of course. I think that was the aim coming in. You know, if you can win the game and add to the goal difference, then it could be a great day for us, and that's how it ended up.
It's not mathematically secure, but does it feel that way, just given the points tally and the goal difference?
Well, like I say, it's significant, but we're not over the finish line yet. We still got work to do, but to be 6 points clear with 2 games to go and +6, then you're in a really good place. So, but we just need to recover. Massive win, great day for the supporters, and but like I say, we recover and then get ready to hopefully finish the job off on Wednesday.
Gus is a Celtic fan. How do you reflect on it, Gus?
Well, I'll look at it from various points. I looked at that game. I was at the game today. One team tried to win the game very poorly, and that was Celtic. I thought some of their lack of energy was quite shocking. One team who were not interested in winning the game was Rangers, and if I was a Rangers fan, I would be distressed at the money you're paying for some of those players today, who quite clearly are not up to the job. But by the same token, there are some Celtic players who are not up to the job. I think Clement is vastly overrated, and how he is in for Manager of the Year is beyond me, because he's basically achieved very, very little despite all the hoo-ha over his opinions. And lastly, Cantwell should do his talking on the pitch instead of wearing 56 shorts, which have now become redundant. So I really think there's a lot about the game today. I turned up at Celtic Park today full of excitement, full of enthusiasm. And in the Celtic supporters bus that I travelled home with, home on to Airdrie, it was basically a damp squib atmosphere. It was a poor game in many respects, especially the fact you think the Celtic fans turned up there today looking for a party. And for the second half, the 45 minutes, a very, 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 very poor performance, I thought, from the Celtic players in the park. And I thought the penalty was, you could see it. The Celtic fans around about me knew that almost the Riley was going to miss it.
Well, you know, Gus was at the game, therefore he is our eyewitness, and if he can tell us that his supporters' bus was quiet going back, then fair enough. But I don't think any day on which you seal the title can be an anticlimax. I think you have to bear in mind that it was the 35 games that came before today that put Celtic in the position to have today. So it's not just about this afternoon against Rangers, it's about the season as a whole. And Brendan Rodgers has endured and has been durable and has overcome so many things on and off the park affecting Celtic, and he has brought back the title. I think there can only be one emotion. The rest will take care of itself. The recruitment will be restructured and other players will assuredly come in. But on this day of days, I think Brendan Rodgers summed it up by saying in a really good place. That's an understatement.
I've got to think that Celtic's period of dominance has now created a kind of level of fan like Gus, that even on a day where you effectively clinch a title against your greatest rivals, it's a damp squad, very, very poor. Forgetting football is sometimes you're not going to get the full performance. It is about winning, and especially when you're at Celtic and winning league titles. And because I think there's It's not a group that, because you win it every year, of course there's an expectation, but if it's not done with a sparkling football, it's not good enough. And I think that's disappointing.
Do you want to take a bit of joy, Gus, in winning one that was genuinely tight and maybe a bit unpredictable?
I think there's been a lot of performances like that over the year. I mean, Celtic fans today rocked up there for a kind of party. But what I'm saying to you is this: there was a lack of spark. Not taking away from Brendan Rodgers. I've got the utmost respect for what Brendan Rodgers has achieved this year under very difficult circumstances. But what I'm saying is this: with 11 men against 10 in the second half, I thought Celtic would have prosecuted their case a wee bit more. And I do think that they failed. And I do believe all the hoo-ha about Adam Ida. I watched Ida there quite a few times today, and really, he's just a slight upgrade in all. He's not the finished article, and he's got a long way to go before he's a team player for Celtic Football Club.
Gus, where do you find your joy in, I was going to say in life, but in football? Listen, I take the point in isolation.
Too warm.
Were Celtic outrageously good today? No. I guess. Is Adam Ida brilliant? I don't know. But today, like, if your mind goes there, where are you finding joy? Surely winning league titles, and by the way, winning it pretty much against your biggest rivals, that must be a good day out. Come on.
That's a good day, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying really is there's been an overhype about Rangers, which we've heard for months. Celtic have kind of go over the line. Of course they have.
Does that not make it sweet then, though, doing it that way? No matter how it comes about, if you're saying that this was about, that's then what, you're putting Rangers in your place or whatever, surely that brings its own joy. You don't sound that pleased about it.
Let me tell you, the Celtic supporters I was with there today weren't over enthused about what they'd actually witnessed. Slightly disappointed. Probably they had hoped to go for 3-4-5, which was mentioned in the bus. But at the end of the day, it became rather laboured. And you've got people there today like Hatate and O'Reilly who really didn't turn up. So there was a lot of kind of plushes going into the game, but it became a negative. And let's not mistake ourselves here. There's a lot of emphasis put on the referee, who I thought over the piece had not a bad game, and a lot of emphasis put on what Clement, who said. Clement will come and go, just like Mr. Beale, because he's got too much to say for himself relative to the performances on the park. So there's a lot of negative comments come from Mr. Clement the last week or two, which really, when you look at it today, his team didn't turn up to win that game. His team turned up today to stymie the game.
I think I must admit, Gus, I'm happy for everybody to come on and give us all shades of opinion. I'm blown away by that. I know Matt O'Reilly missed a penalty. He had a very good game. Excellent.
Gus went there. Gus and other Celtic supporters went there wanting a significant beating of Rangers.
I know, but
I'm only trying to give. Yeah, of course. O'Reilly created a change in mood because his penalty was slack, slovenly, and it created a change of mood. But at the end of the day, Celtic have won the match 2-1. It's a personal triumph for Brendan Rodgers and a collective triumph for the team because, as I said, the 35 matches which went before today put Celtic in the position where this afternoon, if they beat Rangers, they were the de facto champions, and that's what they are.
I just staggered. Probably best I don't comment on Gus.
Gus didn't even like the sunshine, did he?
I mean,
and on the back 8 mark,
I wished it had been raining.
Yeah, it was too warm. I was short sleeves.
How negative is that? And then Gus to finish up by calling Philippe Clement negative, and he's the most negative player. But football fans, and there's a group in there, and the Celtic fans have been that spoiled over the past decade or longer that they've just expectations that are unrealistic. Every game 5-0 against Rangers, unless I'm going home in the supporters bus unhappy. Nonsense.
Agree to disagree with Gus then on the line. More of your calls next.
0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are here. I was going to say the Celtic fans are celebrating the title pretty much been wrapped up. Gus has got the previous caller. He's raging. It's ruined his night that it was only 2-1.
Gus is a way to sit in a darkened room in the sunniest night of the year when his team's just effectively won the league.
And bemoan a subpar performance from Matt O'Reilly.
Matt O'Reilly hit Hattie,
umpteenth goal and whatever else of the season. But there we go. Listen,
pays his money. He's entitled to it.
Exactly.
Well done, Gus.
Kevin,
I'd revoke his ticket.
Kevin's in Bishop Briggs. What's your take on it all, Kevin?
I must admit, I agree with Mark. I hope Gus is away to lie in a dark room. No, listen, the problem that I have is that I don't feel that Gus is an isolated case. I think, you know, when Dennis had the task of bringing in a new manager, he knew exactly what he was going to get with Brendan Rodgers, and he's delivered. Now, I feel that there's that sense of kind of entitlement creeping in with some of the Celtic fans because of how easy it has been over the last few years. But these things are never easy, and it doesn't matter how and when you get it done. It's about getting it done. And what Brendan Rodgers has brought, like Hugh Keevins has said earlier on, was he brought a mentality and a style of when the job's to be done, it needs to be done right. And Brendan Rodgers has done that, and it's a credit to him, because when the chips were down and the points were dropped, everybody's saying, you know, I don't know, maybe there's time for changing things. The fact is that Brendan Rodgers has staged down, managed to get his team back to where he wants to be. When you look at the injuries with, you know, any team without real attack, the world, well, maybe not the world, let's call it Britain, is going to find a significant loss. And he's managed to guide his way through that. Like he said in his press conference today, it's the first time that he said his full selection and where he wants to be, and it's showing exactly that. 2-1 up the road and first foot in the championship.
I think it's more about sort of when you say these things, Hugh, and how you say them. I don't think there's anything wrong with Celtic fans acknowledging that they could have been better at times this season. I don't think there's anything wrong with Celtic fans thinking that they want improvements in certain areas. It's more about the fact that your overriding feeling this afternoon isn't joy. So that, I think that's where Kevin talks about entitlement. I don't want to present this wrong, because we all shot Gus down. You don't have to say Celtic are the best team in the world and they've blown everything away this season, because that's then false also. It seems to be more about an order of your priorities when it comes to what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic have won 12 of the last 13 league titles. That's had a peculiar effect on some supporters, but Kevin is of that school who believe that champions are absolute, whether it's 12 out of 13 or you're first for 13 years, and the champions have to be praised for what they have done over the full course of the season. It's a funny thing, when Celtic won the original 9 in a row under Jock Stein, it is a statistical fact their attendances dropped off. In the season when they won the 9, attendances had started to fall. People had got bored with it almost, and they had come to take it as something that would happen every year. And then of course you go into a lull, and Rangers win 9 in a row. So your good moments, as Gordon Dalziel and Mark Wilson know, in football your good moments have to be savoured, because you never know when the bad times appear from around the corner.
What do you make is, Kevin's in amongst it, and he feels there is don't know how many, but that Gus is representative of at least some Celtic fans who maybe need to take more of the positives. I don't know if that's a fair way of paraphrasing.
Well, I agree with Kevin. We've went from ridiculous with Gus to the realistic there with Kevin, because of course Celtic can get better, and every Celtic fan probably should think they want to strive to perfection and play football that's entertaining at every single minute of the game. There's nothing wrong in hoping for that, but you're never going to get it. You also have to be realistic that that's never happening. There's no team in the world that play that way. So you have to take your good moments, and you have to embrace the challenge of being in a title race. And this year Celtic have been in a title race, and it culminated in, you know, this game today that everybody was looking forward to. I wonder what, fans like Gus, I wonder what his mood was arriving at the stadium. Was there that level of excitement going into the game, of optimism? Of course. Or think of this time last year, the title's wrapped up, Celtic went to Ibrox, lost 3-0. What was he feeling then? So you have to give credit to the players on a day where they have beaten the second place team in the league and their best rivals to win the league. And there is a sense in titles, there's no doubt, but that comes from, is it 12 titles now in 13 years or something like that? That's what happens when you've been so good over the years. Interesting to hear Hugh say that. I didn't know that about Celtic 9 in a row year.
Yeah,
that tendency's dropped. I didn't know that, and nobody ever speaks about that.
But this is the moment of triumph. And I think in the cold light of day tomorrow, fans will see it in a different way, and they will see it only as a positive.
I think that should be now, and then if anything, the stuff comes in later.
But we are receiving proof here that that's not the same for all fans.
Only one call, to be fair. So Kevin, how do you look back on today specifically? This head-to-head record between the sides has played a huge part this season, hasn't it?
I think the thing, like you say, it's the head-to-head thing. Everybody would love to watch, Ange Postecoglou's Celtic play for the next 10 years and dominate and everything. But even at times he faltered. He struggled at first when he came in. Brendan Rodgers also had the same thing. The fact is that every manager has a different style of play. They're not all going to be exactly what you want. But what you want at the end of the day is on the 25th of May that you've got a trophy above your head and you're flying the league flag. And I think that's the difference. I mean, the difference with the Celtic dressing room and squad and the club, I would say, as a whole, is the fact that they've been through the mill, they've done it, they've been there, they know what it takes, whereas Rangers haven't really changed. Their squad's changed a lot. They've brought in one or two faces they hope to improve. It's no worked, but there's no real authorised winners in that squad. You look at Carl McGregor through the course, won umpteen trophies. Even players like Greg Taylor, who comes in for a lot of criticism, gets through it. It's been great to see James Forrest. Another winning mentality. You know what it does to take a job, and you go and do it. I think it's been an exceptional bit of management for Brendan Rodgers. I really do.
Well, he said, Brendan Rodgers, that James Forrest was a certified winner. That was the expression he used, and Forrest emerged late in the season for him, and I think he, with his 2 goals at Dundee, for example, with his general demeanour, he helped lift Celtic. It all came good at the right time for Celtic. And if today's second half performance in particular was not great, the final whistle was great for the supporters, because it meant the title had been won.
For me, it's all about, first and foremost, winning trophies, winning leagues. You're paying a lot of money to go and watch and hopefully entertained, and I think Celtic have done that under Brendan Rodgers. Yes, there have been times when we've had a few complaints about the style of play and everything being so slow. That just happens over a long, hard season. You take into consideration the injuries to some of their top players as well, and that makes such a difference. But I think you've got to congratulate Brendan Rodgers. I'm like you, Gordon. If you're a Celtic supporter, you're celebrating tonight, and then tomorrow you're looking forward to probably 2 good games and then another big, massive game at Hampden.
I think what gets overlooked as well with Brendan Rodgers is how he manages the players. Because you've got to manage players, not just about tactics. So you think of James Forrest out the picture. Everyone thought he was a spent force, but he's had to manage him and keep him happy to the point where when he comes in at this crucial time of the season, he's ready to play for his manager, which he's done. You think back to Rio Hatate at the start of the season, left out the side, Turnbull was in, we're hearing a bit of loss of form, there's no end of speculation that he's leaving, yet he has to manage him and get the best out of him at the right time of the season. And you could go through a number of players as well. Kyogo's been off form, he's playing a different way and that's why he's not scoring goals. Well, I'll tell you what, at the right end of the season, the manager's got a tune at him. So all the stuff that we don't see and we're not privy to, that's where the manager comes into it. And all those quiet moments in the training ground is getting players to feel that they're in the top shape to go and perform for you. And the Celtic manager's got that right.
And that's why, with the greatest respect to the man, I don't think today is the day for Celtic supporters to talk about Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou came, had 2 magnificent years at Celtic, was an absolute revelation, but he went to Tottenham Hotspur. Today is about the current manager.
Well, on that, just on the head-to-heads, please bear with me. I've tried to crunch the numbers very quickly. I think, how far do you think you need to go back to find a season where Celtic have taken more points against Rangers than they have this season?
A fair bit, I would
2017.
20 years. The 03-04 season,
well,
Celtic,
you worked that one out well.
The 03-04 season, Celtic won them all. Yeah? But in so that was 12 points out of the 12. In Brendan Rodgers' first couple of seasons they took 10, but that's what they've taken this season. So you have to go back 20 years to find a better head-to-head over a season record than this, Hugh.
Yeah, and that's why I say, great though he was for Celtic, today is not the day to go on about Ange Postecoglou. Today is to recognise Brendan Rodgers.
Let's bring in Craig from the highs of that. Craig, how would you sum up how you feel about your team at the moment?
Disgusted by a lot of them, Gordon. I said this after, I don't know if you remember, I said this after the Ross County game, the Dundee game. I'm just sick to death at a lot of them. Just a quick point to the previous caller. He says Rangers have not changed anything recently. They're complete rebuild last summer. We can't keep doing that every year. My point is, I'm sticking with the manager. We've brought in a Belgian director of football. We've brought in Belgian scouting system. And we can't just keep changing the manager all the time. I mean, for me, I'm going back here to when Gerrard, and if you just indulge me, there is a bit of a point to this. When we won the title under Gerrard, I came on and I remember I spoke to Hugh directly and I says, we need to freshen this up. And I made a point about Jose Mourinho and you get a cycle out of teams. I says, that team went to the wall for Gerrard that year. In 2024, three of them are starting today. Sorry, two of them are starting today, Barisic and Tavernier. I says, we need to get rid of that. You know, you move players on and that's what happens. And thankfully, it looks like a couple of them are out of contract and going to be leaving. In terms of John Lundstram today, I'll not say what I want to say because I'll probably get the show cancelled.
Thank you.
For saying it on the air. But that to me was cowardice beyond belief. I remember Philip Clement, if you can even remember him playing for Rangers, try to block that out of my memory. But I think that was actually Brendan Rodgers' first game. He actually jumped. I think Rangers were about 3-0 down at the time. And he jumped up and handballed the ball because he wanted off the park. And Joey Barton ended up playing in a back three that day. That, to me, was Lundstram. He scored an own goal. He knows he's leaving in the summer. I know you say, players are, that to me, he chucked out and he says, I agree with you guys. And how Kenny Miller on Sky said it wasn't a red card is beyond me because it was a red card all day long. But for me, I really, really hope we can get this proper rebuild done. My only concern is a bit like Van Bronckhorst a couple of years ago. Because of no money, now we're going to have to sell Butland and probably Sterling. If, we can get some money for him and fund that rebuild. But Clement's going to be working on his second and third choices because the money's just not there this summer.
I spoke to Philippe Clement yesterday and asked him, because of in the heat of a title race, you still surely have to be planning for next season. He said he was well down the line, and he said it could change slightly if this team could go and win the league, but ultimately he was pretty clear about what he needed. I think a fair level to settle at with Philippe Clement, Hugh, would be some people might be wildly critical, some people might be fulsome in their praise. I think a nice middle ground is he's done enough to deserve building this team for next season, and then you go from there.
He inherited an utter shambles and a 7-point deficit, and he brought Rangers to within touching distance of Celtic, and then they imploded. The Motherwell defeat at Ibrox, the 3-3 with Celtic at Ibrox, then Dingwall and Dundee in quick succession. That has cost Rangers the title.
Head to heads, I keep saying it.
You
can't really separate them like that. The head to heads against Celtic have cost them.
Yeah, a combination of things over the course of a season. A combination of things will bring you to who's first and who's second. If he's told you he's well down the line, then there's no reason to dispute that. But I go back to the point about Celtic. Celtic today have added a fortune to a fortune, and the supporters will now be scrutinising the transfers very, very carefully, because the transfer policy did nothing to help Celtic this season. And now, with a fortune and Philippe Clement telling you that he's well down the line with players, Celtic have to invest wisely and give Brendan Rodgers absolute power in that direction.
That was passionate stuff from Craig. I liked it, Craig. Thank you very much. I'm a bit late for this, so apologies for moving on. We will be back with more next.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
It's been a long day in the sunshine for many of you, a long day out of the sunshine for us in here, but we have to say the football has delivered. It was always going to be dramatic at Celtic Park. You never know how exactly that drama will come around, but thanks to a blistering mid period in the first half from Celtic, and then a goal from Rangers, and then a sending off, and then a nervy second half. We got there, and it all culminated in a win that pretty much wraps up the title for Celtic. There were big results at 3 o'clock as well, so we'll reflect on them certainly as the week progresses. I can see lots of you still trying to get in touch about today's action. I like the look of this call. I'm sure this guy's been on before, because I remember the name. And usually I'll say they're calling from Wishaw, Baillieston, Airdrie, whatever. This guy is en route 66 on his way to New Mexico, and he is Smitty. You called us before, Smitty. You're one of our transatlantic listeners. What's happening?
I did, guys. How you doing? From Good. Royston, but live in Chicago.
No difference there.
Yeah. How you doing? I'm calling for Q. Because after I spoke to you guys after the Celtic Aberdeen game, I made a comment that I don't watch the Old Firm games anymore. And Q was kind enough in his article during the week, last weekend, to put that in, and he put my name in. And my phone was going off the hook. I thought somebody had died.
Oh dear.
And all my pals were telling me, Smitty, Hugh Keevans mentioned you in his article, and it was because I no longer watch the Celtic games. It's too much. The Celtic Rangers games too much for me, so I go for a drive. And one of my pals said, you got to call and tell Hugh that you're on Route 66. You've taken it.
I was going to say, there's going for a drive, and then there's going the length of the USA to avoid it. So seriously, you avoided the game again today?
Aye, but that's not why I'm driving to California. That was already planned. But it was just when I was driving, and I got up this morning, and I realised, and I knew the game was on, and I'm on Route 66, and I'm thinking, whoa, and I'm just tell you, taking it to a different. As far as watching it, going for a drive during the Celtic Rangers.
I'll tell you why, Smitty, I put you centre in my column in the Sunday Mail, because even at my age, and I'm 10 years older than you, even at my age you can still be re-educated on what this game means to people and the effect that could have on players on the park today, because I described it as the biggest Old Firm game for a generation. If someone who lives 3,500 miles away from Glasgow cannot bring himself to watch it or listen to it, then that's the effect it has on people's lives. And therefore, the effect of the result on people's lives today is significant, because Celtic have virtually won the championship and the Rangers supporters are extremely unhappy with their players. So I used you, Smitty, as an example of the global appeal of this game and the effect it can have on people, and how football players have to live with that. And the Celtic players lived with it and got over the line, and the Rangers players didn't.
Well, Smitty, you'll be happy to hear that Celtic are pretty much champions again.
Well, I'm delighted, and just like you was talking about, for me, I don't know, that the fear of losing against Rangers always outweighs the joy of beating them. So I just wait till after the game. I'm too old for that stuff now, But I'm just delighted. And thanks for taking my call, guys. I didn't really have a point to make. Big Gordon, and I thought Q being older, he knows all about Route 66, so the old TV show. So I kind of figured he'd know what I was talking about.
A man from Royston calling it Route 66. Yeah. Whatever next, Hugh Keevans.
Yeah, exactly. But I do remember the TV programme late Saturday nights. And I do remember the Rolling Stones song Route 66. So
he's not lost his Glasgow accent, has he? He's been into about 10 different accents.
Route 60. Anyway, Smitty, enjoy your drive.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Can I say a quick? A couple of my buddies have been up for a while.
Go on.
It's not a shout out, mate.
Real quick. To Big Mark Fitzpatrick, Big Fitzy, Duncan Kearney, Big Jim McAnally, and Brian Kearney. My 4 best mates my whole life, the whole world, and they'll all be pretty well on their way getting drunk right now, because we're all great Celtic supporters.
What a guy Smitty is. In 10 minutes time, this radio station will be full of shout outs to people who are drinking, incidentally. Because that tends to be how GBX operates. But there we are. Thanks again to Smitty on Route 66.
Pull into a nice diner and get a burger.
A burger and a shake, some fries, just onto the
Beautiful.
sidewalk.
Yeah, beautiful.
I can hear it all now.
That.
Thanks again to Smitty. And that pretty much does bring it to a close, as often is the case when Glasgow's Big Two meet. We've not had loads of time to reflect on the other talking points from today. I suppose if we're giving out credit, a few teams deserve it, but certainly Kilmarnock. Derek McInnes is doing the aeroplane celebrations on the pitch. That tells you all you need to know. Usually quite reserved in that way.
There's going to be a wonderful atmosphere at Rugby Park Wednesday night when Celtic go there, because the Kilmarnock supporters are proud of their team, believe that they can beat Celtic for a third time this season. The Celtic supporters are going there. They may or may not need a single point to become champions. We have to get Rangers Dundee out of the way on Tuesday night. First of all, there will be a peculiar atmosphere at Ibrox. The size of the crowd will be interesting, and the atmosphere will be interesting, because today Brendan Rodgers, in his 17th Old Firm game, had his 16th without losing, and the win for Celtic wraps up the title. They only need to put the ribbon on it either Wednesday night or next Saturday against St Mirren at home.
It's funny because we've criticised any fans who were too negative, saying enjoy the moment. But if I'm being really fussy from a neutral perspective, a broadcaster's perspective, always prefer it when it's like definitely done. Just because, you kind of, as Hugh says, you get into the midweek feeling a bit weird, and Rangers might drop points, and that makes it official for Celtic before they get to do it on their own. Like in the history books it feels exactly the same, but it does set you up for a kind of weird midweek in a way.
It certainly does, but Rangers need to get their heads back on, professional heads, and get the job done against Dundee and score a few goals and hope and pray that something untoward happens to Celtic at Rugby Park. It takes it into Saturday, but I very much doubt it. I think Celtic, with the win behind them now, that win will do so much good for their spirit in the camp, and they'll go to Rugby Park. I believe they'll win and tie up the title on Wednesday.
I believe that as well. But
did you say you think Rangers will win?
Rangers will win, but Celtic will go to Rugby Park.
Yeah, I think for Rangers now, the concentration is next two games important. Get your head on it. Their big cup final round the corner. For Celtic, just go and cement it, and then you've got a chance to do the double as well. So still a lot of exciting football ahead.
Although we're looking forward, I suppose let's finish by just reflecting on what we've seen, Hugh, and in terms of what today means.
What today means is that Brendan Rodgers can sit in front of a press room and say, I am not a novice manager. I was not going through the motions, and I disregard that kind of comment. And he did not declare himself the champion. He said that they were in a really good place. But today is a personal triumph for Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic players, and it's a day of reflection for Philippe Clement and the Rangers supporters, because they know the title has gone.
Yeah, I don't think many would disagree. The arithmetic tells you that. It's a 6-point advantage for Celtic. They've got 2 games to go. They've got a 7-goal advantage over their city rivals as well. It has been quite the season. It is not over yet. The title still has to be confirmed. The relegation playoff places still have to be confirmed, and I'm sure Scottish football will throw up the odd piece of madness here and there as well. But for today, it is over from us. A 6-hour stint on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. We thank you for your company, your patience. To those of you who got in touch, the many of you that got in touch on the phone lines after the game, thank you so much. We are back on Monday night from 6, maybe with a calmer head once the dust is settled. We'll look back on it all at 6 o'clock on Monday. The good news for you is that the sun is still shining, and George Bowie, the perfect soundtrack to a sunny Saturday night. GBX is up next. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Jaguar. Looking to sell your Jaguar? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
At 3 Business, we think you should get more for less. With our boundless business offer, the whole team gets unlimited calls, data, and texts. And the more SIMs you buy, the more you'll save. All on the UK's fastest 5G network. That's what we call big value. Search 3 Business or visit us in store.
Unlimited in the UK, based on Ookla speed test intelligence data H1 2023. See 3.co.uk.
How exciting is it to play the British Heart Foundation's weekly flutter? Ka-ching! Exciting enough to get your heart racing. Just a little bit. Like texting a mate. The same time they text you. Huh. Like flipping pancakes with majestic grace. Or spotting that last parking space. Yes! With the added joy of knowing the money you donate helps to fund life-saving research. £1 to play, £1,000 to win every week. Search British Heart Foundation Weekly Lottery. See? It's a little bit exciting.
Gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please see our website for more details. British Heart Foundation is a registered charity.